All right, welcome to Draft Utopia. Chris Ransom, joined by William Yanish. Joey will be here shortly. He's doing a last minute reading for something, and he will call in a second. Today we will talk about the safety rankings, but why don't we wait till Joey gets here to do that? We'll open up with the Notre Dame Indiana game. I mean, it was a rough day for Notre Dame, rough afternoon for Notre Dame. Then it became a rough evening for Indiana. 0 Notre Dame players drafted in the MLS Super Draft after they got to the national title and lost to Clemson last year. And then Indiana had a player go in the top 10. And then Notre Dame just routes Indiana to the point in football where it's, where it's just ugly. It's 27-3. And then Indiana gets 14 garbage time points and loses by 10. But just a very ugly game to begin with. And our top safety, Xavier Watts, was the headline player for Notre Dame in that game. So Joey's here now, and that's perfect timing because we are just about to transition from the playoff game. William and I, we were about to transition from the playoff game into the safety rankings. But William, if you want to say anything about the playoff game, go right ahead.
Oh, well, I mean, Xavier Watts was just on cue, with double-digit tackles and interception and, all that good stuff after having a real damn good season. So, I mean, might as well throw that in there. But other than that, I don't know a whole lot about the game. Like I said,
Indiana had an interception on Notre Dame, and I'm thinking, okay, Indiana might actually score. And then Watts intercepted Curtis Rourke, and that sort of changed the momentum of the game, I think, William, because Indiana looked like they were going to score on Notre Dame after they intercepted Leonard Riley, and then Riley Leonard. I said Leonard Riley. Riley Leonard.
Yeah.
Looked like Indiana was going to score after the Riley Leonard interception, but then Xavier Watts intercepts Curtis Rourke. That changes the whole dynamic of that football game. Whole dynamic changed after that. Notre Dame just routed Indiana.
Yep, pretty much what it looked like, man.
I thought that was Indiana's game to take. I thought it was a good matchup. I thought I thought the positions matched up well, and obviously in this exchange that you're going over, Chris, they matched up much better than you would have thought. But Notre Dame ended up coming out with a win. So, missed opportunity, but congratulations to Notre Dame.
Yeah, and Xavier Watts is my number one safety. He comes in at 13 on the ranking on my big board. I know you have Malachi Starks as your number one safety. I think Starks' ceiling's a little bit higher, but as far as floor, as far as what he can do for an NFL team right now, I don't think I think Watts is the better of the two right now, because I've got a floor grade of 83 on Watts and an 80 on Starks, but I've got a 95 for ceiling on Starks, but a 92 for ceiling on Watts. So they're about even. You look at the floor and ceiling, they're about even. Watts is probably going to be the better player the first 2 years, but by year 3, maybe year 4, the tide turns and Starks becomes the better player. But as far as projections and grades go, they're about, as far as floor and ceilings go, they're about even. They're about dead even, but I would give the advantage to Watts at the moment. Landslide.
Was the way NFL defenses have gone, which we have discussed ad nauseum on this podcast. And I'm looking at Starks and I say, okay, they're trying to go and use both cover 3 and cover 2 at the moment, and the offense, they're trying to use the run game a little more to bring up so they can get that over the top going more, because teams are trying to go back in that cover 2 shell and take away that deep ball. Okay, he can play both in coverage and at the line better to be on the field more during that, and he can stop these running backs. And I say Stark is better at that particular part of the game, which that's why I put him ahead of Watt, because in coverage I had them very similar.
Yeah, I think both safeties can play cover 0, cover 1, cover 2, cover 3, cover 4. That was my evaluation in the summer. I still stand by that. And I stand by that evaluation because I haven't really seen the drop off. And I think Watts is more versatile, whereas Starks is just a pure free safety. Very good free safety, but a pure free safety. And if he gets drafted as a strong safety, I'm not sure he's going to transition immediately. Whereas with Watts, I know he can play either safety role. I think the positional versatility advantage goes to Watts. And Starks has given up some touchdowns in big moments, big games. The Alabama game, the Florida game. He gave up touchdowns in those games. I haven't seen Watts give up a big touchdown like that all year, even with Benjamin Morris and Notre Dame's best defensive back injured. So that's why I would give Watts the advantage at the moment, but I think it's very close. I think Starks has the better long-term ceiling, but I think short-term floor, I would go with Watts. I think the first 2 years, Watts is going to have the better NFL career, and then year 3, year 4, it pivots to Starks because I think the ceiling's higher. But I also think he's more of a project than Watts. But William, you've heard Brandis talk about Starks. What do you think of these two safeties? I think these are the two best, but since Joey and I are in disagreement on the top two, who would you give the advantage to? You sort of hold the tiebreaker here.
Yeah, I would give the advantage to Watts. I mean, he is the, should I say, more versatile player. You know, they're both about the same size. You know, 6 foot, 6'1". You know, 203, 205. You know, right in there. They both, you know, faced excellent competition. You know, Starks being, you know, at Georgia and Watts being at Notre Dame. You know, these are both converted offensive players. You know, Starks was a former high school quarterback. Watts, you know, a converted wide receiver. But yeah, I would just give it to the hot hand and Watts. I mean, he is, like I said, just that much more versatile. And I, you know, haven't heard, you know, my co-host Brandis.
I've heard Watts can play nickel corner as well as linebacker, but I can't confirm that. I've just heard rumors that in addition to the safety roles, he can play nickel corner and linebacker if you need him to.
I can definitely see that. I mean, the football IQ is definitely there, and I mean, they've both been starters for some time. I mean, it's a push all the way, you know, across the. Whoa, where'd everyone go? Was that just me? Oh, still live. Anyway, talking about Xavier Watts. Anyway, I think that Xavier Watts has the advantage. He has a hot hand, and I mean, I just think he is better safety. I wonder where Chris is.
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah. I don't know. Restream did that earlier this morning, and then before we went live, and then it disconnected me again. So, but yeah, I have both safeties in the first round, and it's very close, Joey. I have Watts at 13 on my board, and I have Starks at 18 on my board. So it's very close between those two. They're both in my top 20.
Yeah, and to finish that off, you know, Watts, I mean, like I said, I think he just had the better season. So
yeah,
I'll finish it at that.
I do have a third safety in the first round, but before we get to him,
very similar players. They are very similar players, and they're both very good players. So it may come down to just what scheme's being run, because they're similar enough to where either one could probably fit pretty much anything. It's like William said, same body type, same really pedigree of being offensive players and converting to defense. If you really think about it, they have the same ability to read a defense to get the results, because one was a quarterback, one was a receiver. They understand what's going on. So it may just come down to what team's doing the drafting.
Yeah, and they'll play each other on New Year's Day in the Sugar Bowl, and Georgia takes on Notre Dame. So there is an opportunity for Starks to move ahead of Watts with a signature game in that one. And there's a third safety, though, in this group that did crack my first round, and that is Iowa's Sebastian Castro. This is a guy that I think can play either safety role. He's already accepted his invite to the Senior Bowl along with Watts. So Castro and Watts are both going to be in the 25 Senior Bowl. And I do have I had a first round grade on Castro in the summer. I still have a first round grade on him. I'll go back and rewatch the tape at the end of the year, but I honestly think Castro's a day one guy, but a late day one guy. So that evaluation has not changed since the summer. But if he gets carved in Mobile, he could end up falling down to day 2, maybe day 3. But I think I just, the gut's telling me Castro is a round 1 player, just based on what I've seen on tape from him since the summer, since this fall. I think Castro's a day 1 guy. He's the third guy in this group that I think. I don't think he gets picked ahead of Starks or Watts, but I do have a first on him, and I think he's more versatile than Starks is, as bold as that take sounds.
Yeah, that definitely does come across something because, Castro being in Iowa and having the experience that he does, he is almost as old as Bo Nix and Jade Daniels, I'm not sure if I agree with you on how versatile he is. Starks, that is a pretty bold statement of yours, man. But
I'm saying Castro's more versatile than Starks, because I've seen Castro play both safety roles, and Starks for me just looks like a pure free safety.
Oh, I can see that. I can see that for sure. Being, either to play, in the box or free safety. Shouldn't have a problem there.
Joey, what do you have to say about Castro?
I like Castro. I do think he is pretty versatile. I think he can come up on in tight situations, maybe even play that outside linebacker situation, guard tight end. Now, because look at the team he's on, tough team. He's going to have that, and look at the other guys coming into the NFL, tough guys. Castro is going to fit into that mold. The only question that I have is, can he match the athleticism needed? Because that's usually one thing that's a little sketchy. So I want to see the athleticism. When's his ball game coming up?
Let me look that up.
Because that's usually when we see these guys at their best. When that ball game comes up, these guys usually go flying around. If he's flying around in the biggest game of the year, then we'll have our answer. Is he a day 1 pick or is he not?
They're going to play Missouri in the Music City Bowl later this month. But we do not know if Sebastian Castro is going to play in that game or opt out to prepare for the Senior Bowl, because he's already accepted a Senior Bowl invite. So
I hope he plays, because Missouri would be a great test. They're a really athletic team, and I think if he could fly around the field and show that athleticism against a team like Missouri, that would be perfect for him to show that he deserves to be right up there in that mid-20 range in the NFL draft.
yeah, opt-outs, injuries for the Missouri-Iowa Music City Bowl, Sports Illustrated. So I'm going to quickly pull this up and see what they're saying. Luther Burden will not be in the that's not a surprise, though. Luther Burden's not going to be there. Armand Membaugh, the Missouri right tackle, is going to opt out, and Brett Norfleet also going to opt out for Missouri. So some players on Missouri, William Nwaneri is opting out. That's just the Missouri side. I wish this reporter who's covering Missouri for Sports Illustrated would have listed the Iowa opt-outs too, but that's really, so there aren't any opt-outs for Iowa yet.
Yeah, that's not surprising a lot. That Iowa's, they're the least diva-like team that there is, or one of
So
them.
Theo
in
Weiss
college
Jr. will
football.
play in that game, the number 2 receiver on Missouri, but Burden will not. I was really looking forward to a Castro-Burden matchup. They need to
I would
put
like to see
clauses
that.
in the NIL deals that pay the players extra if they play in bowl games. That'll incentivize them to play in bowl games, even if they're in their draft year.
Well, that's coming because this negatively affects the group that is paying.
I think Castro is opted out of the bowl game because from what I'm seeing, Quinn Schultz and Nwangpa, who we're going to get to later, are listed as the starting safeties. So I think if Schultz is starting over Castro at free safety for Iowa in the bowl game, I think that means that Castro's already opted out of the bowl game.
Yeah, that's a shame because I think this would have been the perfect time for him to just get rid of any doubt that anybody else would have had about his athleticism or his ability to potentially play and or start coming right into the NFL next year. I think this would have been his perfect opportunity. This would have been his chance. And if you know my stance on it, I've always said these guys that opt out are usually hurting themselves.
And here's another thing I noticed. Some athletes put a lock by their Twitter profile and they make their profile private. And I noticed one of the players that meets that criteria is, in fact, Castro. So I'm not sure if teams are going to view that as a red flag or not, but certainly interesting observation. And some teams are going to have to do some digging on that when they interview him at the Combine and the Senior Bowl. So...
Yeah,
and I don't have a
definitely agree
problem with
it's-
that personally. If the player wants to keep their social media account private or put a lock by it, I have no problem with that. But you got to vet them. But with players like that who keep their social media accounts private, put a lock by that only confirmed followers can interact with this account. You got to vet those players in person real carefully when you're interviewing them. You got to vet those players to know what you're getting in terms of the final product. But I have no problem with them keeping their social medias private. But when you interview them, you got to vet them to make sure you know you're getting your guy. Because if you don't, you're going to lose your job because they kept some information private. And that's fine if they want to do that. We're not here to tell people how to run their social media handles. It's just, I know some guys that kept their social media accounts private and they didn't get drafted in other sports besides the NFL. But Castro's going to get picked. Question is that going to keep his draft stock down or not? We'll find out. So, yeah. I mean, Adu Dokin fell to 13 in yesterday's MLS draft because he didn't have a green card. There were teams that had him at 1 on their board, but they didn't pick him because he didn't have a green card. And I think that's something that's got to be addressed in college soccer, because if you have a player coming from another country to the United States, there needs to be like provisions in place to help them get their visas or their green cards in order so their draft position isn't affected by their talent, But that's another issue for another day. Let's get to the round 2 safeties. We've got 4 of them. We've got Billy Bowman, Xavier Nwangpa, Malachi Moore, and Jonas Sanker. We've got 4 safeties in round 2. I've got Bowman ranked the highest of those 4. I've got Nwangpa at 5, Moore at 6, and Sanker at 7. But really, those 4 don't stand out as like superstars or high-end starters, borderline superstars like the top 3 Watt, Starks, and Castro, but they're all good in their own right. But I think Bowman has the best zone coverage of those 4. And Bowman, I think you can make the case Nwangpa is the most versatile of those 4, but I think Bowman's just the best in coverage of those 4. And I've got Bowman at 4 and Nwangpa at 5 for those reasons. I still have a second on Moore and Starks. Starks is going to be in a Moore and Sanker and Bowman are all going to be in Mobile with Watts and Castro. So this is going to be a great safety year. If you're going to the Senior Bowl, the position you should try to get interviews with is the safety group, because this is going to be an excellent safety group with 5 of the 7. Yeah, 5 of the top 7 safeties are going to be in Mobile, which, well, at least 3 of the top 4 and 4 of the top 6, 5 of the top 7 safeties are going to be in Mobile, which it's kind of surreal to hear that. But yeah, I think Bowman is the best coverage safety of the round 2 guys. Nwangpa is the most versatile. I think Malachi Moore's probably the most effective against the run, and Jonas Sanker's probably the best blitzer of the 4 safeties in round 2. So while I don't see a high-end star safety, or even a high-end starter that can become a superstar safety, I think you got 4 guys who can develop into solid starters, maybe above average players, borderline high-end players in this second round. But I like Bowman the best of those 4. William, what do you like about those 4? Billy Bowman, Oklahoma; Xavier Nwangpa, Iowa; Malachi Moore, Alabama; and Jonas Sanker of Virginia.
Well, Malachi Moore, he's definitely experienced, and I mean he's had a decent season at Alabama. 2 forced fumbles, a couple INTs, 8 passes defended, things like that. Beyond that, it seems like there's a whole lot of safeties that are kind of muddled together here that you'd have to really do your homework on to sort through. I mean, as a GM or scout, whatever. And but other than that, I mean, that's about all I have to add to that right at the moment.
All right, Joey, what do you think with this group?
I'm going to make a little bit of a bold statement based on Malachi Moore, because I do like me some Malachi Moore. A guy I was not really high on early in his NFL career, Harrison. So he really came into his own as a very good player toward the end. And that is Steelers legend Troy Polamalu. We got to let that Polamalu in his game. Coming up, get the hits in the run, and he may have a few issues in the passing game, but when you least expect it, guess who's getting the interception? Malachi Moore. That's a little bit of Troy Polamalu right there. So that may be his ceiling. So
I see more Ed Reed and Malachi Moore than Troy Polamalu, if I'm being honest. I think he's more of a pure free safety, but both
I
are.
don't put that juju on anybody. Okay, Ed Reed was 1 of 1, so I'm not putting that juju on anybody. I'm sorry. That's bad juju. You might jinx this guy.
Polamalu wasn't one of.
I'm just. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Polamalu was somebody I was not a fan of. I did not like. I thought he was more of a. I thought he was a thumper. That's all he was a glorified outside linebacker. It wasn't until year 5, 6, 7 that he really came into his own when it came to being able to play, specifically in the zone game when it comes to coverage. And then he really stood out. He really stood out after that, but because of injuries, his peak was only about 3 or 4 years. So Polamalu had to work his ass off to get to where he was. So Ed Reed, it just seemed like everything was natural. Polamalu's work ethic was amazing.
I don't think Moore has the ceiling either Polamalu or Reed had. No offense. It's just but as far as similarities, I think his zone coverage is similar to Reed's. I'm not saying it's as good as Reed, but I think his zone coverage is similar to Reed. I don't really see any resemblance between Moore and Polamalu, but I think it's interesting that we share these different perspectives.
It makes it interesting.
It does.
You don't want it boring, do you? Hell, William staying over there this week was boring.
Yeah, Billy Bowman. I mean, Bowman's interesting because he kind of reminds me of Hapanga, the 49ers strong safety, the Oklahoma safety. Bowman, I do like his zone coverage a lot, but I also think his run stuffing needs some work. But he did a good job against Milroe, limiting Milroe in the passing game and rushing game, taking away the running lanes and limiting him in the passing game. Nwangpa, positional versatility, I think probably the best run stuffer in the draft among the round 2 safeties, and Sanker's probably the best blitzer. So I don't think you can go wrong with any of those 4 for those reasons, Joey. I really don't. I think you can. I don't think you can go wrong with any of those 4 in round 2. Billy Bowman, Oklahoma. Xavier Nwangpa, Iowa. Because Bowman was on that Oklahoma defense with Stutzman when they beat Alabama 24-3. So I think
Bowman is probably the most balanced of the players. How do you pronounce the guy's name? Sunka?
Are you talking about Sanker, the Virginia safety, or Nwangpa, the Iowa safety? Because it's hard to tell.
Sanker.
Sanker.
Sanker. I always wanted to call him Sunka for some reason. No matter how many times I hear his name, I always want to call him Sunka.
It's Sanker. Sanker.
Sanker. Yeah, because I always want to call him Sunka for some reason. With him, it's really interesting because he's a really talented player. But I think his ceiling will only be met depending on if he gets with a team where the main obligation is to get after it on most plays, not necessarily blitz, but to be aggressive. I think that's where he's really going to shine.
Yeah.
In an aggressive defense. Which means keep them away from the Bengals because right now they're softer than wet tissue paper.
Yep. That's definitely something to keep an eye on. All right. 2 round 3 safeties. I've got Kevin Winston Jr. of Penn State, who we're going to see at noon today, and Hunter Wohler of Wisconsin. I had a second on Wohler in the preseason, but Wisconsin's biggest game in prime time this year was the Alabama game on Big Noon Kickoff. And, Milroe did enough to Wisconsin's secondary where I had to move Wohler down from the 2nd to 3rd round. There are some people that have Wohler in day 3 now, but I still think Wohler's a 3rd round talent. But I do have Winston ranked ahead of him by a significant margin. But we're going to see, because SMU's tight end suffered a season-ending injury a few weeks ago, and now Kevin Winston Jr., the Penn State strong safety, he's going up against SMU today at noon. And after we get through with these safety rankings, we'll have some NFL picks. Maybe I'll briefly break down some winners from Friday's Super Draft, but probably not, because we got the college football playoff games starting at noon, and we also have NFL games at 1. So if we don't get through everything by noon, it's going to be a long show where you have Joey and I ranting, and we're probably multitasking with Joey watching the NFL games, me watching the college games and the NFL games, because I can watch I got Max app on my phone and I've got a TV, so I can technically watch both games. I could watch the college game on my phone, the NFL game on my phone. And if the college game's it's close, I'll probably watch that on my TV and get game play-by-play updates from Joey. We'll see how we feel as the show progresses, because quicker we get through if we get through everything by noon, we might just watch the game separately. It depends. But I'm gonna get to let's get to Winston Wohler, these 2 Big Ten safeties, because I think Winston's a very good blitzer. He's versatile enough to play either or safety role, but I think he's better at strong safety. Kind of a thumper like Moore. But we'll see what he does today for Penn State. And Wohler, I feel, is very good in coverage. I think he's not like...
Oh, there he went again. I think we were talking safeties, and I don't know what Chris was talking about, but let's see. We were talking about Kevin Winston Jr., 6'2", 205, out of Penn State. Hopefully Chris comes back. I'm not very what do you call it? characteristic by myself. Got to have, other people like the brain. Chris, he's got that huge brain, and just knows so much about football. And I have to write down everything I know, and that's just, then if I end up with hey, Chris, how's it going, buddy?
Great.
Okay. Yeah, because William, I was asking you, did you see the Alabama-Wisconsin game?
Yes, I did. I didn't see all of it, but I did see that game.
Yeah, it seemed to me is that Wisconsin had a breakdown of communication in a lot of their defensive backfield during that game. Did you see the same thing I did?
Yeah. I'm trying to remember the exactly how that game went, but yeah, just what you were talking about in the secondary and with between what happened with Milroe and actually, I'm trying to remember. Second.
Don't drop your coffee.
Yeah. Trying to remember how that game went. Well, go ahead with what you're saying, man.
It did seem to me during that game that Wisconsin had a lot of problems with their communication, and that goes to a lot of ways. That goes to preparation, and that goes to the coaches, and that really doesn't set well with me on that. And I just wanted to know if you saw the same thing I did, so because I know you watch those games.
Yeah, and let's see. I was trying to remember Milroe's stat line on that one. Maybe down somewhere.
Milroe did a great job of taking advantage of the miscommunication, so we're not taking anything away from Milroe here.
Look, Wohler. Here's the thing: Wohler did not. I think Milroe avoided targeting Ricardo Holman and Hunter Wohler, the two Wisconsin players I had day 2 grades on. All the younger, less experienced players got carded by Milroe in that one. And I believe Tyler Van Dyke also got injured for Wisconsin, so they had to bring in a backup, which absolutely crippled Wisconsin, their 42-10 home loss to Alabama.
Yeah, I was trying to find my notes on that game.
I've already got the game log from ESPN up. Milroe went 12 for 17, 196 yards through the air, 3 touchdowns, no picks, and he had 75 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns in the Badgers.
Right. Yeah. And no, I mean, I don't know if Wisconsin just hasn't had. I mean, they haven't seemed like they've been very, very well coached. I mean, the last year or two, and that game was, I mean, on point. I mean, Milroe hadn't exactly, carved up anyone this year, and then I remember watching that game with 2 on the ground and 3 through the air.
Yeah, even though Milroe only threw for 196, it felt like he threw for 300 in that game with all the damage he did to the Badgers. You know what I mean? Sometimes quarterback will only have under 200 yards, but they'll be so dominant it looks like they threw for 300. You know what I'm talking about as a former football coach, Joey.
Oh, absolutely. Because you don't need. Usually, people look at domination as huge passing plays or running for 100 yards. And no, a lot of times all it is making a smart play, and you can look like Peyton Manning when you're really, Arch Manning just trying to get off the bench at Texas, Arch Manning might be great in the future, but right now he's a backup, you know. But even Arch Manning can look dominant if he plays smart. And Miller played really smart in that game. And that was one of the games I said, hey, look at Miller's potential as a franchise quarterback, because this dude's going to be really freaking good. So don't dismiss him as an early pick based on his potential. And that's one of them. He played such a smart game against Wisconsin, like you said, Chris. He looked like he threw for 300 yards.
He only had 196, but it looked like he threw for 300. And here's the thing. If you go into the EA Sports College Football 25 player ratings, the quarterback with the best deep ball accuracy rating at 93 out of 99 is Jalen Milroe. Milroe has the best deep ball accuracy rating. I don't know if that's going to translate over to the NFL, or if Milroe even has the best deep ball accuracy in the draft. But if he does get pushed into the first round, that's probably why he'll get pushed in. That and his running ability will be why he gets pushed in there. But I think he ends up going back. I've heard rumors he's coming back to Bama for his senior year. And if that's the case, 2026 is going to be a ridiculously good class because you'll have, I was talking with William about this on Under the Bleachers, Joey. But if Milroe comes back, you're going to have Aller pushing Arch Manning and Nico Imaleva for QB1. You're going to have Milroe and Nussmeier competing for QB4 as the round 2 guys. You're going to have Klubnik and Lenore Sellers competing with each other to be the round 3 guys. And then you're probably going to have Connor Wiegman and Dante Moore as the round 4 guys. And I think that's just going to make 2026 a much better class than this one, to the point where I think we'll see a lot of teams go after stopgaps in free agency. And another thing I heard this morning is the Vikings are going to cut Cousins, but one of my Browns Twitter followers believes there's a possibility Cousins reunites with Stefanski because his 2 best years where he had complete career highs in completion percentage, 69 and 70%, were with Stefanski as his offensive coordinator in Minnesota. So those were the 2 years Cousins had a career high in completion percentage. So just something to keep an eye on with the Browns.
Those rumors have been circulating for about 2 weeks. We're kind of looking at them at the grain of salt right now because, you know, right now NFL quarterbacks are not having a very good track record after a torn Achilles tendon.
Yeah.
You can ask Aaron Rodgers that one. As for next year's quarterback class, if Milroe goes back, especially if Milroe dominates in his Alabama doesn't have to win these games, but if Milroe shows like he did against Wisconsin, it doesn't matter if he throws for 300 or 150. If he shows he can dominate the game from a mental standpoint and play within the structure, because remember, that's what the biggest argument against Cam Ward, he does not play within structure. He plays best in chaos. If Milroe shows he can play within structure and he can play under control and he can dominate those games with his head as much with his arm, and then he goes back, you may be looking at next year as much as 5 to 6 quarterbacks with round 1 grades. So you have to look at it. If you're going to look at it from that standpoint, you got to look there. And as far as the Wisconsin safeties go in that game, I think Milroe did an amazing job. Wisconsin was poorly coached, and there was poor communication on the back.
Well, it's interesting. They fired their longtime head coach. I think it was Bielema they used to have, and they replaced him with Luke Fickell, who took over in 2023, left Cincinnati to go to Wisconsin. And I don't know how Fickell's done with the Badgers since leaving Cincinnati. But
He is better with Cincinnati. He should have stayed in Cincinnati because right now, Wisconsin, and William said it best, the last couple of years since Fickell took over, it ain't looked good.
Yeah, that's for sure. And we were just talking about Milroe and Nussmeier. I mean, if they both come back and end up, because before the season, I had first round grades on both of them, end of the first round, but first round nonetheless. And Milrose was just on his potential. I think that might be the first time that I ever did that with a player. I mean, purely on what his potential is and just how dynamic he is. So.
Yeah, I mean, I've only got one 4th-round safety, and it's Michigan's Rod Moore.
And William, I want to give you a little bit of credit because you were way ahead on this Nussmeier thing. So I give you a lot of credit for that.
Yeah, he had him on the 1st in the summer. I remember reading one of his articles. I don't know if it was I think he may have had an article of him on 1st-round mock along with Milroe. But yeah, as far as next safety on our list, it's Michigan's Rod Moore. I've got a 4th on Moore. Him and the next safety we're going to mention on South Carolina are the final 2 safeties I've got starter grades on. We'll still mention some of the backup guys, but I'm not going to do the deep dives on those guys like I am with Moore and Nick Emanwari. But Rod Moore, this was a guy who came into this preseason with a 2nd-round grade. Really disappointing year at Michigan, though. You know, he did rebound in the Ohio State game to his credit. But we'll see what happens with Rod Moore. I've got a 4th on him at the moment. He is
a tough guy. He is a tough player. He is a guy who's not afraid to hit you. He's good in coverage. He'll hit you. I think he's got to get better at tackling. That's his big thing. He'll hit you, but he won't wrap you. So if he can show that he can tackle in this process and tackle well, then I think he can move into day 2. Because I really do like him, but he's got to learn to wrap up, to get guys on the ground and not just hit them and hope they go down. You know you're tough, you know you're a hardball guy, wrap the guy up.
Well said. Next player in this group is Nick Emanwari. Nick Emanwari, the South Carolina safety. I know some have him going in the 1st round. I have him in round 5, but I do believe he has potential to develop into a starter. But he's like the final guy that I view as a starter in this class. He's my number 11 safety at the moment.
Yeah, and this is a big kid, 6'3", 227, out of South Carolina. Definitely has some ball skills and I mean, 4 interceptions and 2 passes defended, 3-year starter. I mean, I definitely see him with the ceiling of being able to come in and end up being a starter, and I agree that's probably the last one there, Chris.
I mean, I've got 2 round 6 guys, Maryland's Dante Drader Jr. and Elijah Clark, Syracuse safety, but I think they're both high-end backups. And then for round 7, I've got Lathan Ransom and Bud Clark, and I've got backup grades on them as well. But, we'll see what happens.
Well, William, I'm not sure what your knowledge of special teams guys are, but Lathan Ransom reminds me a lot of a high-end special teams guy, where he's just going to go down. If he can learn to wrap up, he's got everything you want in a high-end special teams player, especially as a gunner. I mean, does that sound about right to you?
Yeah, and he definitely has experience too, being a 5th-year senior. So
I don't think he'll play, but he'll get a lot of playing time on special teams. I don't think he'll be a starter in the NFL, but he could get a lot of playing time.
Yeah, I can see that.
You're the Ohio State guy. You saw a lot of Ransom. You saw a lot of Ronnie Hickman. Which of the 2 has the most potential?
I thought Ransom had a higher ceiling than Hickman. I was not high on Hickman at all, but he's proved me wrong in the NFL, and Ransom's got a chance to do the same. because I had backup grades on both safeties. I felt like Ohio State's corners were the stars of that secondary.
All right, you heard it here from the Ohio State guy. You know, Ohio State's got a bunch of NFL backup, which not too bad for.
I like their front seven. I mean, I do like their front seven. I do like the defensive line for Ohio State. I think everyone on the Ohio State's defensive line has a chance to be an NFL starter, and same with the corners. I'm just not high on the safeties. I liked Eichenberg last year, and I liked Steele Chambers, but not really high on anybody else now that those linebackers are gone. It's basically the corners and the defensive linemen for me.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Williams with you too. I've said it for 2 years. Ohio State had, I think last year Ohio State, I said, had 6 or 7, maybe 8 starters on the defensive front 7. It was absolutely absurd, the depth and the talent that they had. I think all 4 starters, like you said, starter potential in the NFL. The linebackers, I think they all have potential to be high-end players in the NFL. I'm not with you on the potential starters thing, but, you know, I think that, and I'd like to get William's opinion on that real quick because he, you know, I think he probably got some opinion on that.
What were you asking, man?
With Ohio State, last year I said Ohio State had at least 8 NFL starters in their defensive front 7.
Yeah.
With the depth and everything else. And this year I think that their front 4, all 4 guys can be NFL starters. Maybe not right away, but they can all be NFL starters. What do you think about that?
Well, you know, last year Chris mentioned, you know, Eichenberg and what was the other one? Sonny. Anyway, and yeah, no, I definitely see that. I believe I had a 3rd round grade on Eichenberg. He definitely. The only thing I wish he could have done better was actually hit just a little bit harder. You know, provide some more thump. But other than that, you know, I mean, you've got Sonny Styles. You've got, I mean, just the players that coming out here the last few years, and you know, they also get to go up against, you know, some of the best receivers in college football in practice all the time. You know, between Emeka Egbuka and just the whole list of Ohio State wide receivers there has been the last few years, and I believe that, you know, that's what makes them.
I just want to go a little bit into what you said there about Eichenberg being able to lower that shoulder and really hit harder. And I want to get a little bit further into that because I'm going to put on my trainer's hat right now, you know, what we do in practice and along what they do in the combine. When they measure explosion, what they do, especially the 10-yard split, and when they do the broad jump, not the high jump, the broad jump. That measures quad power. Okay? And that measures the ability for the ankles and mobility of them, strength them. What that does is allow the explosion. If you're a linebacker, or an offensive lineman, or a defense, offensive lineman, when it comes to running the ball, defensive lineman, when it comes to getting off the ball, linebacker, when it comes to meeting the running back and blitzing the passer. What that does, can you go from my stance right now, standing in a parking lot, shoulder width apart, down in the knees, ready to go, head up, looking straight forward, pointing out different things. I'm looking at positional middle linebacker here, inside linebacker, green dot, whatever you want to call it. I'm looking, and can you go from that position to, I'm going to step back if I'm in a Tampa 2, I'm going to stay where I am if need be, and if I diagnose a play action or a run play, and it is a run, can I go from the I'm ready for anything mode and maybe flip my hip to get back or what not here to I'm exploding. I'm going straight up into there, and that goes, William, to your point of I wish you could hit harder. That goes to the explosion because you can't hit hard if you can't explode. And that is what we're looking for. Everybody says, why are you doing long jump? This isn't the Olympics. It's not about that. It's about the straight long jump about the explosion that you're going to get going straight forward. When the high jump is, can you knock a ball away? Can you do this? Can you do that? From that perspective, mostly for defensive back and defensive linemen, you're looking at, can you explode forward? And that's where the big discussion comes in with a lot of these linebackers. You say, well, they don't hit very hard. Okay, what's their explosion? We don't know. Well, have them do these drills, and you're going to find out what their explosion is, and you're going to find out really darn quick.
Yeah, I mean, even like last year, my two highest rated middle linebackers were Jack Campbell and Drew Sanders from Arkansas. And
Drew Sanders
Jack Campbell
made his first career sack last night, or first career interception or fumble recovery. He did something for Denver against the Chargers on Thursday night. I don't remember what, but he made a big play in the Thursday night game, Drew Sanders. And he wasn't supposed to play this year due to a torn ACL in May, but he came back from the ACL and made his debut. And he made a big play in the Charger-Bronco game on Thursday, Drew Sanders. So I'm going to look that up really quickly. What did he do in the game? He got a sack. He only played one snap. They're trying to ease him in because he's still coming back from that ACL. They don't want to rush him back in, but he only played one defensive snap, and he sacked Herbert on the one play he got. So
yeah, and that's
went out and took it and said, "I'm done for the day." Like he came in the equivalent of a headhunter saying, I'm going to come in, punch this guy in the mouth, and I'm going to go sit on the bench because I've done my job and I'm going to stick my feet up. Don't just say that. It would just make it sound a lot more badass. He was a very good prospect. William said it himself. William's our expert here.
Yeah.
So, William's right.
I wasn't high on Sanders, but I liked what I saw in the one play he showed on Thursday.
Well, that's the thing with Sanders is, I mean, he's a 3-down linebacker, just not in the traditional sense. Like, obviously, the first 2 downs at middle linebacker, but then on third down and long, I mean, this is a guy that can line up anywhere and absolutely rush the passer. I mean, he has pass rush moves. I mean, he has, dude. I mean, watching him play, it was a game against Cincinnati last year, and I mean, it was just some of the plays he had in that. I mean, getting chipped by the running back, after already making it through around the left tackle, and running back chips him and he still tackles, still sacks the quarterback. And I mean, yeah, just Sanders is good. But anyway, we were talking about short area explosion, and that's kind of where I was talking about Jack Campbell, and I mean, and he's a big dude too. He's 6'4", 6'5", 250, and I mean, but that's the thing about Ohio State. Circling back to what you were mentioning is, I didn't see so much of that thumping and so much of that physicality from Ohio State. I mean, they had the athleticism and, tackling ability, but, it isn't obviously, the Iowa kind of team or, the team like that is the hard hitting team. But you know, and to fully answer your question, I mean, that just, I mean, has leads to Ohio State, you know, having those players that, you know, translate well to the NFL. And I mean, there's definitely going to be a few of them in the next few years. So.
Yeah, and now to bring everything back full circle, I guess the question remains: we're not going to get in depth past number 10 on the safety rankings, but in the last 4 guys on the safety rankings, who do you think has the best explosion?
Well, actually, we went in depth with 11 guys, Joey. So Nick Iman Rory was number 11 on our list. We went in depth with 11 safeties. We had 15 in the rankings, but Eamon Rory, William and I agreed Eamon Rory's the final starter at number 11. And then you have Dante Trader Jr., the Maryland safety in round 6, Elijah Clark, the Syracuse safety in round 6, Lathan Ransom, Ohio State safety in round 7, and Bud Clark, TCU safety in round 7. That's it.
Okay, then out of those guys, who has the best explosion? I want both your guys' opinion on it. Who has the best explosion out of those guys?
I think Trader probably has the best foot speed and explosion of those 4, but he's not as good at his coverage as some of the predecessors that Maryland's had at the safety position, whether it be a Nick Cross or some of the guys that, you know, who's the guy on the Jaguars that went to Maryland? Packers drafted him in 2019, I believe. Maryland's had some good safeties over the years. I think Trader's foot speed and his explosion is in line with his predecessors, but I don't think the coverage is good. That's why I have him in round 6, and I think he's more of a backup.
William, do you have somebody you want to mention for their explosion?
You know, I hadn't had a chance to look at all these players. I mean, to make such a.
And the good news, Joey, is I've already got the kicker rankings for next week set up. There's only 5 kickers next week, and then there's 5 punters in week 18. And then we're pretty much done evaluating prospects for the draft cycle. Then we just wait to see who declares who goes back in the rest.
Not really, because remember, Wayne just said it best. I haven't had a chance to look at all of them yet. Guess what?
I guess basically
that's like this. Once we start the draft season, we're going to see it all.
Yeah, because basically this is basically going through the positional rankings 1 week at a time, starting with week 3, ending with week 18, with every position from quarterbacks, running backs, fullbacks, receivers, tight ends, tackles, guards, centers, defensive ends, defensive tackles, outside linebackers, middle linebacker, corner, safety, kicker, punter. This is just the snapshot of what they can bring to the table. Then we see who goes back, who declares, and then we rewatch the film and make adjustments to the board. So this is just the first phase of the early part of the process. This is just the first phase where we look at the guys that are on our radar. And I've got 5 kickers in my kicker rankings, but I think only 3 become starting kickers. But we'll see.
Well, here's the thing about kickers. I think after several years, Adam the Bull has finally swayed me in saying, if you draft a kicker, you're stupid.
Not really. Adam the Bull is wrong on this because 2 of the 3 kickers that got drafted won player of the game as rookies. Will Reichert and Joshua Carty, the Stanford kicker that won the Lou Groza Award. So not really.
I'm sure in 2 years they'll both be on the free agent market.
I'm sure they won't be. I'm pretty sure they'll still be with the teams.
Kickers are like underwear. Kickers are like underwear. Unless you're Tucker for the Ravens, kickers are like underwear. You take them off every night, you put a new one on, a new pair on, and you go with it.
You know the meme,
I think
William, you know the meme where Bill Clinton's trying to use his hand gestures to make an inappropriate joke and Obama just shakes his head in disbelief? That's me and Joey right now. Joey's just ranting on about underwear like Bill Clinton, and I'm just shaking my head like Obama. You know the meme I'm talking about? It's a very famous political meme.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to leave that one alone.
I love how William just tries to avoid that in general.
Back to the thing, though. You guys, every time Jake Moody misses a kick in San Francisco, man, I mean, he catches hell from the fans. And I think he's missed like 4 kicks or something like that. I don't know how to explain it, man. So, yeah, that's me politely, changing the subject.
Yeah. Yeah, so the kicker rankings, that'll be next week, and then the punter rankings will be in 2 weeks from now. But like certain players are going to go back, enter the portal, other players are going to declare, and then we got to go back and tweak the boards based on the underclassmen deadline and all that good stuff. But yeah, some surprise names at quarterback. I'll quickly mention these guys that have declared. Alan Bowman from Oklahoma State and Garrett Green from West Virginia have both declared for the draft. So
I guess Bowman wasn't granted that 8th or 9th.
He was granted that 8th year. He just chose to declare.
Oh, did he? Change his mind, eh?
Those are 2 interesting names. It's like they're not bad players. I'm like, really? They're going to declare this year? That's, talented guys, but I didn't think they'd declare.
Yeah.
Like, I think both would have benefited from going back.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Indeed. That's what I hope Nussmeier and Milrow do, is go back. Give them another year, developing.
It's going to be this. We went over our college football predictions under the bleachers. I've got Texas beating Notre Dame. I think we are going to see a lot of chaos in round 2. All the home teams win in round 1, but we are going to get a lot of upsets in round 2. Texas beating Arizona State, Ohio State beating Oregon, Notre Dame beats Georgia, and I've got Boise State as a 3 seed beating Penn State. But I think SMU could pull the upset today. I think of all the teams, the team with the best chance to pull an upset on the road is SMU. I know Joey felt that way about Indiana. The reason I say SMU is because of their history with Penn State. They have a big history with Penn State. When they had the 0-loss season with the Pony Express back in the day, they tied Arkansas and Penn State won the national title before they got put on the probation for the death penalty. So Penn State, a lot of players on those older SMU teams feel like Penn State screwed them out of a natty. So I think if a team does pull the upset in the round before the quarterfinals, the play-in round, I think SMU's the team that probably pulls off the road upset. Not Tennessee, not Indiana, not Clemson, SMU. If a team does pull off a road upset in the play-in round, I think it's going to be Southern Methodist.
All right, real quick, I want you to do something for me. We're going to do a quick lightning round here because I didn't get to do my predictions and I don't have the games in front of me. I want you to name off the games that haven't been played yet, and I will shoot just off the top of my head without thinking about it, without even giving it a thought.
Well, at noon today, we get SMU Penn State. That is on TNT and the Max app. Only game Joey will be getting at noon is South Dakota State versus North Dakota State. So if you enjoy the FCS playoffs, you can watch a little bit of that before the NFL starts at 1. So
Give me the game for the playoffs.
First one is SMU versus Penn State. It is a noon game.
Penn State. Penn State.
I'm taking Penn State too, but I think SMU is going to keep it close. The next game is
Penn State.
Texas, Clemson and Texas in Austin. And then the final game is Tennessee, Ohio State in Columbus.
Ohio State.
Yeah, so we all have the same home teams winning. I had Notre Dame over Indiana. But yeah,
give me Tennessee over Ohio State.
you're changing your mind, William. That's interesting. I think you had Ohio State earlier in the week.
Yeah.
Well,
Well. Put it this way.
Tennessee has the best chance at an upset of any team, I believe. I think Tennessee is right.
If
That's what I'm
Tennessee
aiming
was
for.
playing anyone else besides Ohio State, I'd pick them as an upset. If they were
exactly-
playing anybody besides Ohio State or Texas, I'd probably pick them as an upset. If they were playing Penn State or Notre Dame, I probably would have picked them to upset that team.
Let's just say that's an upset special, man.
Yeah, I think at least what I'm thinking, I don't know about William, is that Tennessee has a distinct advantage on the front, in the trenches. I think Tennessee has a great defensive line, and I think they can rotate guys in and out. I think they're going to have a great defensive line next year. I think they've got a lot of prospects coming in there that could potentially play in the NFL. I think if this is going to be a big game for the Ohio State offensive line, who does have some prospects this year, I also think it's going to be a huge game for the Tennessee defensive line. And I think whoever wins in the trenches is going to win this game.
Well, Ohio State moved Donovan Jackson to left tackle, so I think he's going up against Pierce in today's matchup for Ohio State, Tennessee. That's probably the matchup to watch, but Isaiah Bond is unlikely to play. He had a high ankle sprain a few weeks ago in the Texas A&M game, so Isaiah Bond is out for Texas today.
What the hell? I played with high ankle sprain. I played with two full groins at the same time. Okay? It's been 3 weeks. Take that shit up and get out there. You know, I don't care if you have 3 inches of tape on your ankle. It's immobile. It's like, you go out there because if you go out there, you are talented. You are a day 1 or day 2 pick. Guess what?
I've got a fourth on.
They're going to look at you. They're still going to look at you as a threat. Even if you don't cut quite the same way that you normally would, they're still going to look at you as a threat. And they're still going to guard you, and you're still going to make a couple catches, and you're still going to make them you're still going to make them guard you, which is going to leave other people open. So why the hell are you sitting out in the biggest game potentially in your career to this point? It's like, how many people, you can go out there, I've seen people go out there with broken ribs. I've seen people, I have coached people who wanted to go out there with a freaking compound fracture. I've had people on the team want to go out there with a cast on their arm. Okay? And Hayek was saying, I've got to sit out on the biggest day of my career. Freaking stupid. You think if I'm the Steelers and I'm evaluating this game, I'd be Bond like Hayek was saying, really? Byron Leftwich was being carried down the field to go in there and make the next play. And you're sitting out the biggest game of your career with high ankle sprain? Why am I drafting you?
Well, I got a fourth on him, and in my defense, I've got a fourth on Bond, but I've seen him as a first in some 2026 mock drafts. There is a chance he goes back.
Yeah, he better go back and keep this up this game, or else his draft stock's gonna plummet. You don't sit out the biggest game of your career if you can walk, you suit up. That's how. Maybe that's the old school coaching. Maybe that's the old school player in me. You can walk, you suit up. When I had a concussion, the only reason I didn't play was because I couldn't get my damn helmet on because my head was swollen. Okay? I still suited up. We knew I wasn't going to play because, you can't get your helmet on. That brings a certain degree of difficulty. But even then, I suited up. Okay, we would have got me a bigger helmet if I had to go in. Never would have happened because they would have found something else. Didn't matter. But at the same time, you know, you put forth that effort. You put forth the effort. That's what I'm saying. If you don't put forth the effort, why the hell do I want you on my team? Even if you go to Will Street plays for 5 minutes and he could barely walk, he made 2 jump shots and the Knicks won the title. He elevated his team. He can barely walk. And all it took was his presence. Isaiah Bond should be out there, regardless. All he has to do is make 2 catches and goes down the sideline. Because you know what? Elevate your team. You're the leader. You're one of the leaders. You're one of the big names. You're one of the guys that looked up.
Well, Kelvin Banks is coming back. Kelvin Banks had an ankle injury. He's coming back. He's playing today, the left tackle for Texas.
And that's great. Hell, at least somebody's trying to put some effort into this thing. Because, let's face it, Isaiah Bond doesn't play today, he better go back. And he better prove that he is worth every penny and every bit of effort. Because if he doesn't play today, if I'm a general manager, because I had a second or third round grade on him, that plummets down like a 6th round grade. Because I don't want somebody who's not even going to put on effort playing on my team.
Yeah, I'm with you. You got to put some effort, some dedication into playing. I mean, just look at Deontay Johnson. Do you want to be Deontay Johnson? Gets traded from the Steelers to the Panthers for a 2nd-round pick, then gets traded to the Ravens for like a 7th, and then gets cut from the Ravens. Do you want to be Deontay Johnson? That's your future if you don't play today, Isaiah. That's your future.
Absolutely. You know, it's like, I know I got a little worked up, but it's like, you know, and maybe I'm living proof that you shouldn't play like that because of 90% of my body hurts on a daily basis. But at the same time, it's football. Okay? And during another sport, you know, it's like, you got to put forth an effort of, why am I wasting my time on you? It's like NBA players nowadays, they play 60 games and then they wonder why they're always getting hurt. Well, back in the day, the superstars rarely got hurt, and when they did, it was a serious injury because guess what? They were playing all the time, and their body got tired. And then what they do the next season? They got their butts up, and they did it again. Oh my gosh! And now everybody's getting hurt with hamstrings and this and that and everything else, and they're missing games, and they're missing important games and everything. And you're like, oh, why are they missing so many games? Because they don't play. They don't show heart. They don't show what needs to be shown. So I do get worked up when it's like, hey, guess what? You had 2-3 weeks to, you know, we didn't have high ankle sprains when I played. We just had ankle sprains. Hey, you have an ankle sprain. Guess what? You've had 2 weeks to rest it. Get your ass out there. And that's if you're not playing on already. That messed me up a little bit. Show my old age, sorry.
No problems. You're good. We are going to start our NFL predictions soon. Is there anything else you want to touch on, William? Because we are going to start our NFL predictions for week 16 pretty soon. If you want to stick around, you can. If I don't know what's going to happen. If we finish our predictions before noon, we'll probably end the show at noon. If not, we'll probably multitask. And who knows how long the show will go. Because there's just a lot going on today with both the college football playoff and the NFL. There's an NFL doubleheader. There's a college football playoff tripleheader, and they kind of overlap each other today.
Well, William, I will tell you this, though, William. We're not going to go as long as we did last week because I had a sore throat for 2 days after last week, so we're not going that long.
How long did we go last week? I forgot.
We went close to 8 hours last week. It's like, no, we're not doing that again.
I think it was until like 5 or 6 because remember we did the MLS mock, then we did the NFL predictions because we had the cornerback rankings, which was we broke down 25 corners, then we did the MLS mock, and then we did the NFL predictions, and then we did the expansion draft because there was an expansion draft in the MLS, so we did one for a 33rd NFL team, and all that dragged into the 6 p.m. window. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think today we'll either end at noon or maybe we'll end at 4 if we play it depends. I'd prefer to end at noon if we get through the predictions, but if we don't end by noon and things overlap, we're going to get sidetracked by the amount of games that are on today, not just in the NFL, but in college as well.
We're not going to 4, so let's get it done by noon because we're not going that long. That hurt me last week. That hurt my throat. I ain't doing that again.
All right. So, all right.
William, you want to stick around, make some predictions with us? Have some fun?
Is he still here? Yeah, I think he left. I appreciate his contributions to the show, but I think he left because I just checked Restream. He's not in the chat.
He's like Sting back in WCW during the mid to late 90s. He just gets his harness, he hooks up the thing, and he disappears within a moment's notice. You know, it's like he's like the Dark Avenger of the night. Freaking Batman.
I got sick as fuck all of a sudden. I'm not sure if I was supposed to read that on the air, but that just came from my notification from William.
Oh, it's like and here I was calling him Batman. It's like,
sorry about that, William. I hope you get better, man.
Yeah, you'll be fine, William. You'll come back faster and stronger, like Batman. Don't have to worry about it. You're Batman.
So Texans Chiefs is the first game. We have Jamar Chase on the cover. We were gonna go with Travis Kelce, but William voted for Jamar Chase, and since William and Ken voted for Chase, and that was 2 votes.
Well, you're not gonna go with Kelce because.
Well, Chase is pursuing a triple crown. Even though the only photo of Jamar Chase I have is a Monday night photo of Jamar Chase, he's pursuing a triple crown, and this was originally going to be the Thursday night game before it got flexed out. So,
very true. And well, I'm looking forward to seeing what Judy and Chase do, especially Chase at this point, because he is, as you said, doing the triple crown. I do feel like Kel should be penalized because only in the first quarter he tripped over the chain for the down marker.
well, I voted for Kelce, but
That's got to disqualify you right there.
I voted for Kelce, but it was a 1-1 tie. I mean, Tracy voted for Breece Hall, Wes voted for Quentin Williams, I voted for Kelce, and Ken LeBlanc voted for Chase. So I tagged William in the poll question. I wanted to see what direction he'd go if we broke the tie, and he went for Chase. So Chase won as a result of William. If William had not intervened, Travis Kelce would be on the cover, and you'd be ranting about that.
I would only be ranting if you didn't use a picture of him falling down after he tripped over the chain.
Well, this is not a picture of him tripping over the chain.
That was embarrassing. Okay, I was listening to it on lunch at work, and it like, Travis Kelce tripped over the chain from the chain gang, and I'm like, really? He tripped over the bloody chain. Like, the hell? It's like, you've been playing like how long, and that's your awareness on that one play? It ain't never happened again. But that one play, really? That's embarrassing. You know, if he would have won, you would have had to have found a picture of him laying on the ground with a chain gang around him.
No,
Like, are you okay? What the hell happened?
no, we wouldn't have done that.
No, it was just that one. I actually had to chuckle when they made that play-by-play
What?
because it was so unexpected. It was so unexpected. He's gonna get roasted for that for years. Like, what's the best play in your career? I tripped over the chain.
Just very weird scene on College Game Day. Nick Saban's wearing a cowboy hat. It looks like the cowboy hat the YouTuber white folks used to wear. And for everyone who's wondering who the hell white folks is, he's a former pimp in New Orleans that gave guys advice on how to be a pimp. That was.
I'm not sure what's weirder, that he's wearing that hat or that you know that. I'm not sure what's more disturbing.
Yeah, they're both pretty disturbing in their own right. But yeah, Texans and Chiefs, this is the 1 p.m. game. It'll be at 1 p.m. on NBC. Kerm's in first, West is in second, Bandel's in third on the site. I'm in fourth. But yeah, Kerm's the only one in the top 10 nationally.
I'm in last.
Actually, I'll pull up your data here really quickly. You're in last on the site, but you're not last in the country. You are why does this say you're 30th? I thought I revised this. What the hell? I revised this after the updates.
I'm 30.
This is not correct information. I revised this.
Hey, I'm 30.
No.
That's good enough for me.
This says you're 36, but that's if we don't take into account the Sports Authority's predictions on the site, which I did. So I've got to fix this. I've got to freaking fix this again. God damn it. I hate having to fix things. I want to be like the Tom Cruise of freaking NFL draft people. I don't want to be some B-list celebrity. I want to talk myself into thinking.
You want to lose your mind.
Oh, this is.
The cult. You want to lose your mind and join a cult. That's your entire goal for your life. You want to be like Tom Cruise. You really want to go that direction. Like we're gonna have to have an intervention here. That is not good.
Yeah, I accidentally put myself at 20th, but I'm 30th. Tracy's 40th. Lauren's 43rd, and you're 46th. I updated this last week, but I guess the site was like, no, that I guess I didn't save. I updated this. I updated this. So I updated this before the games on Thursday really quickly, but I guess I forgot to save. Because the site is not revising the data I typed. And that makes me very angry. That makes me so angry that I just want to take a wiffle ball bat and whack something with the wiffle ball bat. I should not be that angry.
A wiffle ball bat, really? You're really not that angry, are you? Wiffle ball bat, you are not that angry. Like, I can take a wiffle ball bat, I can do it, and I'd throw it away and find something else. It's like, this fucking sucks. Throw it out.
All right.
Slim Jim. Slim Jim's good. Also, a pillow with real feathers in it.
All right.
Because those things are put together very well. You can get a lot of goddamn good anger out on that one.
Okay, so you're 46 this year, but you're 40. There's 90 people making NFL predictions. It's not like the last year or two where we've had 100, 200 people making picks. Only 90 people have made predictions. You're 46, so you're one game out of the top half, Joey. You're only a game back of the top half. So a good week can get you into the top half. So
it's like last week I think I was 50. So I'm moving it slowly. It is a slow process, but it's one I think
Yeah, Kerm is 8th, Wes is 15th, Battle is 16th. And we've had the best record in predictions for 4 years in a row, but that streak's probably going to end. Matt Bowen at ESPN finished second to Wes and myself in 2020. 2021 is at 164. John Gonzalez of the Sports Authorities is 161 on the year, and Emmy Battle finished second to Lisa, has 160.
Well, then let me turn that around a little bit. So let's keep going with the next round of.
I'm not going to go in depth with any more predictions. Okay. I'm not going to retype everything from John's Sports Authority's Facebook group. I know there's some people that are tied with Kern, but I just didn't have enough time. He waited until the Thursday night game to update this. And I went to the movies in the Thursday night game, and I literally had 30 minutes to update everything. So if the data is not accurate, it doesn't reflect that, I apologize in advance. It's a very short week. We're going to have games starting at 1 on Christmas on Wednesday. So we're not going to have time to update all the information based on Yeah, we're not going to have time. We're not going to have time to update all the information so it's accurate. But here's the thing. The Texans, they are playing the Chiefs in Kansas City. This is one of the locks we have this week. The Chiefs, everybody on the site took the Chiefs. I like the Chiefs 28-20 here in this game.
I think that's going to be a closer game. I think it's going to be something like 24-21. Chiefs are not playing very well. If it wasn't for a few great plays defensively last week, that game gets down to a lot closer. Chiefs defense is bailing out the offense right now. I think the Texans offense is.
I think the Chiefs will lose to Pittsburgh, but they'll beat the Texans. That's what I have right now.
I think they'll beat the Texans as well. I think the Texans offense, especially that running game is really good. I expect them to put up a fight. I don't expect them to win the fight. I expect them to put up.
And the spread's -4 for Kansas City. Spread is -4. 71% of the public's betting the Chiefs.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Texans cover that. Just saying.
Yeah. Next up, it is Steelers-Ravens, and it is in Baltimore. This game, we've got Russell Wilson versus Lamar Jackson. I think the loss of Pickens and the loss of Dante Jackson will be why Pittsburgh loses. Without Pickens, I just don't think they're going to have that receiver. The Ravens corners have been playing a lot better as of late. They made an adjustment after the bye week or before the bye week to move Marlon Humphrey to nickel, have Nate Wiggins cover number 1 receivers, have Stevens cover the number 2s, and play Marlon Humphrey in the nickel. And that has seemed to work out very well for the Ravens. And the Ravens have all their guys back at full health. They didn't have that earlier in the year. But this is not...
For me, Lamar Jackson was playing very well when he was getting his ass kicked early in the year because of poor offensive line play. Now he's playing even better, and his line's back, and they're doing much better. So with the Steelers, they got some injuries, they got some things going on. Lamar Jackson's the X factor here, folks, whether you like it or not. Lamar may be playing the best ball of his career right now, even if the stats may or may not reflect it. Okay? And he played mighty good ball last year. I think with the injuries for the Steelers, plus Lamar Jackson coming in, Lamar's going to make the difference.
Yeah, I've got the Ravens winning 27-20, but Orr and Tracy both took the Steelers. The rest of our staff has the Ravens winning. And I think the Ravens get 27 on the Steelers, and they go into Week 17 with the game against the Texans. Because I think the Ravens beat the Texans and Browns. They're probably going to be the 3 seed. And my AFC champion, it's going to come down to whether the Chiefs go 16-1. If the Chiefs go 16-1, they lose the Ravens in the AFC title. If they go 15-2, I think they probably win the AFC over the Ravens, but it's going to be very close. And you can't rule the Bills out of this thing, but I think the Bills are peaking right now, and they're gonna underachieve in a playoff game because they peaked too soon. They're not peaking at the right time. They're peaking too soon. Much like my Dallas Stars in the NHL last year. They're not peaking at the right time. They're peaking too soon. That's what I think of the Bills. I think they're peaking a little too soon.
The headline of this game, simply put, if the Steelers win, it is virtually impossible. It's still mathematically possible, but virtually impossible for them to lose the division.
Because the Steelers would have a 2-game lead with 2 games left and the head-to-head tiebreaker because they win the division with that. They'd mathematically win the division. Because Steelers are 10-4. Joey, simple math. The Steelers are 10-4 and the Ravens are 9-5. So if the Steelers win, they're 11-4 and the Ravens are 9-6. Meaning even if the Steelers lost out and the Ravens won out, it would be mathematically impossible for the Ravens to win the tiebreaker over the Steelers with both teams at 11-6 and the Steelers sweeping Baltimore.
First game. Or did the
Steelers won the first game 18-16 with 6 field goals by Boswell. So Steelers clinch the North if they win this.
I thought the Ravens won the first game.
No,
okay.
Steelers won the first game.
That was my bad. Because I knew Boswell hit the...
he hit 6 field goals in an 18-16 win over the Ravens.
I just forgot the game. That was my bad.
No worries. Giants, Falcons. This game, Tracy took the Giants. Everybody else has the Falcons winning, but it is the, and I edited these predictions on Thursday before the frickin' game, but I guess I didn't save, and the site basically decided to reload the original data, not the updated data, the original data. And I'm angry about that too, but what can you do? I can't really. But Penix is playing Drew Lock. That's the game we're getting.
I heard about that, and I was like, there's a chance the Giants could win this simply because. Why?
I think Penix is way better than Bo Nix was in college. Way better prospect.
It's going to be one of those games that I have a feeling it's going to be one of those games where I get a headache if I watch it. So it's not going to be a great game. Or maybe it's going to be an amazing game of errors. And it's going to be really amusing.
Okay, I got a quick question for you, Joey, before we get to the next game. I do have the Falcons winning this one 28-17, but are we going to see more touchdowns or Giants commercials in this game?
I don't know. It's going to be a irritating game.
Still not as irritating as those annoying Giants commercials with the singing in the background, but yeah. Patriots, Bills. Everybody's taking the Bills. This is one of our locks. I'm going 28-14 Bills. I think the Patriots defense holds Josh Allen to under 30 points. That is one of my predictions for this week. Under 30, not at 30. I think they hold him under 30. Because there is such a thing in sports as peaking too early, and that's what I think the Bills are doing right now. They're playing out of their mind. Don't get me wrong. Allen has been amazing the last 2 or 3 weeks. He's beaten the top-seeded team in the AFC and the NFC head-to-head. But I also feel like the Bills have been peaking a little too early. It's just a vibe I'm getting.
Here's something that I heard. I was listening to the barbershop of G. Bush, and he, I think it was his producer that said something really interesting. It's like, the reason the Bills are able to sell seats to that new stadium is that They got Josh Allen. And Josh Allen's going to keep them winning games. He's going to keep them competitive. He's going to keep them in the mix. And I thought about that, and I'm like, yeah, because the Bills roster, if you look at it, I never really thought about it. I think I thought about it in the preseason, but I haven't thought about it. Bills' offensive roster isn't that impressive. Yet they have Josh Allen. And they're playing out of their minds because they have Josh Allen. So it's as long as Josh Allen is there and he's playing small and he's playing out of his mind, well, guess what? I have a feeling that Josh Allen is going to keep the Bills winning. But like he said, are they going to peak too early? How they peak too early? That's the question. And I think it's a...
Because you want to peak around week 15. That's when you want to start reaching your peak. And the Bills feel like a team that started reaching their peak around week 12. And at some point, that peak is going to max out and everything's going to go downhill. I'm thinking it'll either be the divisional round or the AFC Championship where things go downwards for the Bills. But right now, they're still playing at a high level. And even if they don't produce 30, 40 points this week against the Patriots, they're still going to score enough to beat them. That we agree on.
Well, that question brings up something else. If the Bills peak too early, is it the Bills peaking too early because of what I heard in that, which makes a lot of sense with Josh Allen, or is it Josh Allen that's peaking too early? Because Josh Allen is basically from start to finish. Is it Josh Allen peaking too early, or is it the team peaking too early?
I think it's the team more than Allen, but it could be both.
But that's a question we need to ask going into the playoffs. Might not be for this week, but going into the playoffs, that might be a question we need to ask.
Yeah. And look, the Bills, I said it a few weeks ago, there were 3 AFC teams without any season-ending injuries, the Bills, the Ravens, the Chargers. Those 3 teams still have 0 season-ending injuries, and I think the only 2 in the NFC with 0 season-ending injuries are the Packers and the Eagles. Lions were in that club previously, but things have changed for the Lions since then. But as long as the Lions get the 1 seed, they'll be okay. But we'll get to that game in a little bit. Cardinals, Panthers. I'm taking the Panthers to win at home. I think it goes to overtime. And I've got the Panthers winning 26-20 in overtime. Bryce Young gets an overtime victory over Kyler Murray. Everyone else has the Cardinals, though. So, take my prediction with a grain of salt. Also, Trey McBride's had 89 receptions, 0 touchdowns this year. Trey McBride has not had a receiving touchdown all season, as hard as that is to believe, Joey. I hope he gets his first touchdown this week in the fantasy playoffs. I mean, it's just amazing he hasn't had a touchdown all year. He's too good to...
McBride has put up really good numbers all year. So, yeah, I'm with you. You know, the fact that he hasn't had a touchdown with the numbers he's put up, that's, you know, that kind of speaks more on him.
Yeah. But why I think it's just not trusting Bryce Young. I mean, the Panthers, you saw what they did against Dallas. I'll go into a brief recap of this because this is a game where you can be, I watched last week's Panthers-Cowboys game. I watched the tape. Bryce Young was 6 for 6, and then he threw an incompletion on the final play of the first quarter, which was a 3rd down attempt, after the Panthers started 3 for 3 on first down, and everything went downhill from there as far as 3rd down attempts. They could not get a 3rd down conversion after Bryce Young's first incompletion. And he also fumbled the ball twice in that game. Lost 2 fumbles. So, if Bryce Young... young plays like that, there's a chance the Panthers could struggle, but I don't think Young has 2 bad games in a row. I think Chuba Hubbard and James Conner are both going to try to dictate the time of possession and tempo of the game. And really, it comes down to who can stop either running back, because the Cardinals are now 6-0 when Conner gets 100 yards. So that's why Conner got a 2-year extension with the Cardinals, because Conner wasn't a contract year, but he played well enough to get that 2-year extension. Yeah. And I'm thinking we'll see what happens, but I'm gonna take the Panthers. I'll look at the Conner contract, because that might be a indicator of what Nick Chubb's gonna get. It's a $19 million deal for 2 years for James Conner. So if you extend Nick Chubb, you're probably looking at a 2-year, $20 million deal. That is probably my estimate if they bring Nick Chubb back. They might not. I don't know. But I'm thinking the framework for Nick Chubb is going to be 2 years, $20 million, because Conner got 2 years, $19 million. And I'm thinking Nick Chubb's probably going to get $20 million over 2 years. And then that's going to be the contract. And then they're probably going to let him walk after that. Unless he rebounds and stays healthy the next 2 years. But I'm thinking 2 years, $20 million. That's probably the framework for the Nick Chubb contract. Whether it's the Browns or another team in free agency. Because if Conner's getting $19 million a year, you're thinking Chubb's probably going to get 20. You got anything you want to add to that, Joey?
Well, you kind of left out the fact that Chubb and the Browns have each weapons. Chubb is beholden to the Browns because of what they did for him. And they did for him because Chubb, whether people like it or not, he embodies the Browns. He embodies Cleveland. He embodies everything that they stand for. And he is like the second son. I mean, whenever he shows up, he could show up. He's like this generation's Jim Brown. The Browns aren't going to let him go. When I said they were talking about trading Myles Garrett, that's what I was researching, which took me a couple minutes extra to get on, because I heard that like right before.
Garrett, the thing I heard with Garrett is he's only going to demand a trade if the team doesn't make the proper revisions that are to his standards.
Yeah, but that made Jimmy Haslam to trade him anyway, which is what I was researching when, before I came on.
There's also people that think he threw Watson under the bus without throwing Watson under the bus, without naming him in his interview yesterday.
Yeah, but the point is, Myles Garrett is more expendable than Nick Chubb. That should tell you something. One of the greatest defensive ends, one of the greatest pass rushers in NFL history, is more expendable than a running back that's now injured, because of what he brings not only to the locker room, but
I don't agree with that decision. If that's what the Browns are thinking internally, I do not agree with that decision. That being said, if you're going to trade Garrett for a king's ransom, now is probably the best time to do it, because he'll be 20.
That I agree with, because and that is the big thing, is that you're looking at a guy who is telling you that I agree with everything Garrett did, but if I put myself in an ownership standpoint, and I'm looking, this guy's telling me what I don't want to hear, because owners are incompetent by design. So and then I'm looking at this guy and says, He embodies everything about the city. And there have been fans that say, hey, if Chubb goes, we run. Nobody's ever said that about Myles Garrett. They say that all the time about Nick Chubb. If you're an owner, what do you look at? That's the question that needs to be asked. If you're the owner, do you look at the guy that's coming out and speaking out against you? Or are you looking at the guy that embodies everything that not only you, but the team and the city, everybody wants? And that the city is willing to fight you over. Okay? Especially at a time when you're trying to get, I think it's $1.5 billion for a stadium. You let this guy go, you think that's the city's going to pass a resolution for you to get a new stadium? Dude, get money.
The Browns are going to Brook Park. One way or another, they're going to end up in Brook Park.
Oh, I agree, but the county is going to end up putting one way or another. The county's going to end up having to pay for it. But the county has to pass a resolution. You think the county's going to pass a resolution if they get rid of a guy that is beloved and that people say they're going to write for? They're not going to have the votes.
Plus, if the Browns extend Nick Chubb, I think if the Browns extend Nick Chubb, it tells me one of two things. They're either committed to Garrett or they're going to trade Garrett in the offseason. And I'll talk about this further when we get to the Browns-Bengals game. Joey, we got to get to the end of the Cardinals-Panthers game. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to. We can continue this discussion when we get to the Browns-Bengals game, but we got to get to the Cardinals-Panthers game. It's 11:49. If we want to be out of here by noon, we do have to pick this pace up. I enjoyed the discussion greatly. I did. I genuinely just enjoyed this discussion.
It's fine. It's contract discussions are always cool, but so let's get going. The Bengals-Browns game is going to be.
We're talking about the Cardinals-Panthers game still. You never mentioned why you think the Cardinals are going to win.
I think the Cardinals are going to win because they're a better team.
Okay.
I think Chuba Hubbard's a better running back. I love what Chuba Hubbard's done. I love Chuba Hubbard coming out. But at the same time, I think the Cardinals are just a better team. I think they've got better receivers. I think, everything is coming into place for the Cardinals right now. They get a couple more pieces. I wouldn't dismiss them being contenders in the NFC next year as far as NFC championship game. Just need a couple more pieces. Go on the right track.
Yep. Next game is Lions-Bears in Chicago. I think this is going to be closer than the experts think. Lions do have a lot of injuries. But I still think they beat the Bears 27-21, and everybody took the Lions. This was last week against the Bills. Everybody took the Lions last week against the Bills, and then the Bills game happened, and then we saw Lee McNeil, Carlton Davis, and Montgomery all get injured. But as long as the Lions hold on to the 1 seed, I still think they'll win the conference. Now, if the Eagles can steal the 1 seed from the Lions, it'll make things a lot more interesting. And if the Vikings can avoid losing any more games until week 18, the Lions-Vikings game will probably be the Sunday night game in week 18, I would imagine, because if both teams are 14-2 entering that game, whoever wins that game is the 1 seed. So I would imagine that would be the Sunday night game. And Rams-Seahawks for the NFC West might be the Saturday night game for week 18. But the lineup for week 18 has not been set yet. But right now, just depends on what the Vikings do in their next 2 contests for that to be the Sunday night game. But if the Lions and Vikings both keep winning, that'll be the Sunday night game in a few weeks. But everybody's taking the Lions. Is there anything the Bears can do to keep this more competitive?
Black magic.
Why does this say Minnesota for the point spread? Whatever, I'll change it to Chicago. Next game is Colts and Titans in Indy. I think the Colts are going to beat the Titans. It's Mason Rudolph versus Anthony Richardson. Yeah, the reason I'm typing is because I forgot to change the QB from Will Levis to Mason Rudolph. That's a very big detail to leave out on the site. And I just realized now that I forgot to adjust that detail. Yeah, that's not good. But I do think the Titans are either going to end up with Sam Darnold or Kirk Cousins in the offseason. But yeah, the Colts should beat the Titans. I've got the Colts. Colts are one of the locks in the site here. I've got the Colts winning 28-19.
Yeah, Anthony Richardson was. He's still a guy with a lot of potential. I think they did him dirty by throwing him in as quick as they did. But at the same time, I can look and say, right now, he ain't it. I still love his potential, but I think he's going to need to go to. I think a change of scenery at this point.
Well, what I think's going to end up happening, Joey, is this year he missed most of his rookie year with injuries. Year 2, he gets benched for Flacco. I think the Colts win out. Broncos lose out. Bengals win out. Colts get the last wild card. They get embarrassed by the Bills. And then they end up having a really bad year like the Jaguars in 2025 due to a tougher strength of schedule. Not due to and part of that is Richardson. I think Richardson, even though he struggled, he'll do just enough to get the Colts in the playoffs this year. Then next year, he'll be expected to take that leap. He won't take that leap, and the Colts will just give up on him. And then he'll end up going somewhere like Miami or the Rams. He'll sit behind Tua for a year. Then Tua will retire due to his concussions, and then he takes over and the Dolphins offense picks up where it leaves off, or he'll go to the Rams and learn under Stafford for a year until he retires. I think he'll either end up on the Dolphins or Rams. He'll start in year 3, but he'll be bad in year 3 and the Colts will give up on him too soon. And then he'll end up going somewhere else and reviving his career like Darnold or Baker Mayfield in either Miami or the Rams. That's what I think is going to happen with Richardson.
I'm glad you said that because that was Sam Darnold was my exact thought because Darnold was horrific with the Jets. He was tortured by the Jets. I think he had PTSD from the Jets. And
he went to the Panthers too with Matt Rule, but we don't talk about that on this show because Matt Rule is just that.
We don't talk about Matt Rule. We forget about that. But when you find out that the Jets are so dysfunctional that they make the Browns look like the Patriots because you got Bruce Johnson listening to his teenage sons about Madden ratings when it comes to freaking trade offers, that tells you that there was something definitely wrong there. And I went from...
Well, Darnold was seen as the guy with the highest ceiling in the 2018 draft, but he also had the lowest floor.
Well, I went from a Sam Darnold hater in 24 hours, in the last 24 hours, I went from a Sam Darnold hater and saying that he has made a resurgence in his career.
It's not just the resurgence, it's the trajectory. A lot of people forget it. It does matter. The trajectory matters. Let me explain why it matters. Can I please explain why it matters?
Well, I couldn't even explain my first thought. It's like, so it's my thought process is I'm not saying that I'm a sympathizer. I'm a sympathizer. Because his trajectory, this is where your trajectory thing comes in. His trajectory was altered by an owner that's a bloody simpleton and listens to his teenage sons, who may not even been teenagers at the time, over a trained professional general manager.
Well, to be fair to Sam Darnold, for him, I think I had a floor grade of 69 and a ceiling grade of 94. And I didn't think he'd hit the 94 until year 5 or year 6. This is year 6. So, to be fair to Sam Darnold, I didn't think he'd reach his trajectory until this point. This is the exact timeline where I thought he'd hit his potential in terms of trajectory, which is ironic because the Jets, he couldn't reach his potential with the Jets, was thrown into the fire. Matt Rule, same situation, goes to the 49ers, learns Shanahan's offense under Purdy, starts a game, he didn't start a game, but he played in relief of Purdy in the Week 17 game, did well there, and then he goes to Minnesota and has done well with Kevin O'Connell.
And here's the thing, with it took, and here's why I'm a sympathizer, because it took.
I'm just looking at the trajectory. You're looking at the trajectory and the situation he was put in. That's why you're a sympathizer.
Yeah, because that changes the trajectory. So you're right, because I'm looking at how the trajectory changes over time. And I'm saying it took to relieve this man of his PTSD from being on that sorry organization. It took Kyle Shanahan, Kevin O'Connell. It basically took the modern day freaking Shanahan tree, the entire tree, not just a single branch. It took the entire freaking tree, everything except the trunk, to get him out of this funk that they just put him in. Let that sink in. And they put him back on track because your projection never would have happened if the Shanahan tree as a whole hadn't taken him in and said, "Come here, son." Because I heard there was a thing called the collective where the entire Shanahan tree, all the offensive coaches got together. We're not sure if it goes on anymore because they're all head coaches at this point.
But that's what I'm saying. I still think Richardson could revive his career, but it's probably going to be with the Rams or Dolphins. And he'll probably have to sit for a year he'll probably have to sit for a year in 2026 and then learn under one of those guys and then take over as a starter in 27. That's how I think his career gets resurrected, because I think he'll make the playoffs this year, but there'll be these overwhelming expectations for him to make the playoffs again, and he won't, and he'll look just as bad as he's done in year 2 and his rookie year, in year 3, and then the Colts will give up on him too soon, and then that's kind of what I think is going to happen with him.
I agree, unless somebody else in the Shanahan tree ends up as the Colts coach, because I think his best chance, I would say, Darnold was resurrected by the Shanahan tree. I need to go to one of those teams, sit back, and let these guys teach me what I'm doing wrong. I mean, if somebody like Sam Darnold, who was written off by everybody except for the people in the collective, and brought in by them and taught and fixed by the collective, I'm looking at, if I'm Richardson, I'm looking at what I'm saying, I want what he got.
Yep.
And I'm going to O'Connell and I'm saying, give me what he got. It's simple. I mean, it's a very simple process.
There's only two. If the Colts make the playoffs in year 2 with Richardson at 9-8, despite Richardson, because of the defense, because of the running game, because of the offensive line, the Colts are going to expect Richardson to take that year 3 leap like Kyler Murray, like Josh Allen, like Jalen Hurts did. I don't think he's going to take that leap. We're both in agreement on that. He's probably going to go somewhere else and revive his career. That's what I'm thinking. We're both on the same page there.
We are. And it's not his talent, it's his fundamentals. If you watch him, his fundamentals are all over the place. And that's why he is so inaccurate. And for some reason, the Colts coaching staff just don't fix him. They have no clue about how to fix it.
Yeah, it is not snowing in Happy Valley. It's cold out, but it's not snowing in Happy Valley. I mean, it was snowing in the Notre Dame game last night. So
It's supposed to snow there today.
it is. So, I mean, SMU might win now because I figured it was going to snow. That's why I picked Penn State to win. SMU might steal this now. It's not snowing in Happy Valley.
You know what? You know what I want, Chris? Because I'm on my way back to the house now. I want it to be like the Browns Steelers game, where the first quarter is fine, and then a freaking whiteout happens. I want to see a whiteout in the first big time college playoffs. I want a whiteout.
Well, there was a whiteout. There was a whiteout in the Notre Dame Indiana game yesterday with Notre Dame fans.
Well, it's still not as good as Penn State game. Maybe for me it's because it's the Big Ten game. Big Ten game, you expect that whiteout.
Yeah, Tyler Higbee's coming back for the Rams this week. Higbee is going to make his season debut for the Rams this week against the Jets, and I like the Rams to beat the Jets. Everybody took the Rams. I'm going 24-23. The Jets are 3-point favorites, but I like the Rams. Everybody on the site likes the Rams. I don't know how the...
I might end up just betting on the Rams simply because it's the fucking Jets.
Yeah, the sports books are spotting. I think earlier in the year the Jets were 3-point favorites. I don't know. I'm kind of, but I think the Jets cover. Wait, I've got the Rams winning and covering 24-23.
Is it neglect from the sports books? Did they just forget this game was happening and leave the spread as it is?
Maybe Aaron Rodgers took the bookies on a darkness retreat. That's the only reason I can think of for the sports books to favor the Jets. Aaron Rodgers took the bookies on a darkness retreat and they loved it. So they decided to keep the Jets as the favorites. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else. That's a thing. That is a thing. That's I can say. That's a thing.
All right, so next game is the Eagles and Commanders. I'm taking the Eagles here. 21-17. I think this is going to be a defensive game in the nation's capital.
Yeah, I think I took the Eagles too, but I had it as like a field goal game. These guys are...
Eagles are favored by 3.5. Washington could cover, but only 59% of the betting public's on Philadelphia. That tells me there's a good chance the Eagles cover the spread, but I think they barely cover in a 21-17 defensive game.
My thought is Washington, if the quarterback play is great and McLaurin does what McLaurin does, which is dominate everybody because he's just that damn good.
You know what would sting, Joey? I'll get to this when we get the Bengals-Browns game because I do have a thought on former Austin Siebert's been great for the Commanders, but their kicker at the beginning of the year was Cade York. They cut him and the Bengals picked him up, so I do have a thought on the next game, but I'll save it for the next game. But yeah, what were you going to say about?
I think Washington is a year away. I think if they get one more dynamic offensive player, whether it's an offensive lineman or whatever, they've got the running back, they've got the number one receiver.
I've got the Commanders missing the playoffs, but I have Atlanta winning the Week 17 game against Washington. So if Atlanta beats Washington in Week 17, both teams will finish the year 10-7, and the Falcons will get the tiebreaker for the last wild card. So that's...
Yeah, but like I said, Washington's 1 year away, but they've got the quarterback, they've got the receiver, and they've got the running back. I mean, all they have to do is fill in the pieces. once they fill in the pieces, I mean, they've got their playmakers, they got their entire core set up. They just need the pieces filled in.
Yeah, I agree. I got
What happens when you have competent ownership who hires the right people for player personnel?
Josh Harris. Josh Harris. He's the owner of the New Jersey Devils and he's the owner of the 76ers in addition to the Commanders.
Well, that might be the reason. He's a seasoned owner and he knows what he's doing.
And Magic's the co-owner. Like, I got pissed when I found out LAFC cut Carlos Vela, because even though I hate LAFC as a Galaxy fan, Carlos Vela had a 34-goal season 5 years ago, and when he's healthy, he's a consistent 10-goal scorer. You don't cut a player like that. You put him on the trade block and see if anybody else wants them. But they just cut him outright. I mean, even you've got enough common sense not to cut a former 34-goal scorer in soccer. Even you've got enough common sense not to do that.
Yeah, you find out what you can get for him.
Because I'm thinking, as soon as LAFC cut that guy, I'm thinking Magic Johnson's going to shove his foot up the ass of the person who decided to cut Vela. But LAFC ended up trading up for Alec Hughes in the MLS draft yesterday. They didn't even have a first-round pick, but they ended up trading up for Alec Hughes because he fell like 22. And at that point, they said, you know what, let's move up for him. So maybe if Magic Johnson sold on Alec Hughes, maybe Joey will be a believer in Hughes in due time. Because I know you weren't high on Hughes as a consensus. I had him in the top 5, but he fell to 22. And at that point, Magic Johnson's group said, screw it, let's move up for him. The guy is working for Magic.
And I think the reason I equate Magic Johnson with Washington
because he's a co-owner.
Anybody else, not only that, but because he has a record of not only success, but massive success. Wherever he goes, whatever he touches, it's like it turns to gold. And that, I think, is why I equate him more with the success of the team, because
LA Galaxy might be the MLS Cup champions, but the most consistent team in the Western Conference the last 3 years is LAFC. LAFC had the MLS Cup in 22. They made the MLS Cup in 2023 as defending champions before losing to Columbus. Oh, and they had the best regular season record this year before losing to Seattle in round 2. So they've been consistent under the ownership of Magic Johnson, LAFC. But yeah.
And I think it was a documentary I watched on Magic Johnson Larryberg where Magic said, I just wanted to be a Hall of Fame basketball player and a businessman when I grew up. And he became a Hall of Fame basketball player and a businessman, one of the best businessmen in the world, and then he started buying sports teams. And he made all of them successful. So
okay, I did get an update from Tracy Porter. If the Falcons cut Cousins before June 1st, they will get a $65 million cap penalty, similar to the Broncos' $85 million cap penalty when they cut Russell Wilson, because that's the rumor that the Falcons are going to cut Cousins.
Well, that wouldn't hurt the Falcons as much because they have who's taken over?
Michael Penix Jr.
A rookie contract. So it's like, it's basically saying
the Broncos did the same thing with Wilson.
It's basically saying I've got a franchise quarterback on
on a rookie deal, so the cap hit doesn't matter. The cap hit doesn't matter with a QB on the rookie deal. That's what these teams are saying. The Broncos started it. Falcons are continuing that trend. Browns could continue that trend if they take a rookie early. I don't think they will this year. I think 2026 is more likely, but yeah.
But here's the thing. You hear all this stuff about Watson getting a fair shake. Watson's going to be out to like week 10. Watson's going to be out half the year with a torn Achilles. It's unlikely they play him that year anyway. Because, whether they send him home, whether they keep him on the bench, whatever, it doesn't matter. He's not likely to play. So it's going to be, the next year where they're going to have to make that decision anyway. Because he tore his bloody Achilles. And that is not a simple injury.
And Aller starts the college football playoff with a screen pass to Singleton. Next game is Browns-Bengals. And I did pick the Bengals to win. So did Joey. But my first thought running through my head would be, how bad would it sting if Cade York made a game-winning field goal against the Browns? How bad would that sting? Because he's filling in for an injured Evan McPherson at kicker. How much would that sting to lose to frickin' Cade York on a game-winning field goal?
York has had a super trajectory. Drafted in the 4th round by the Browns, was the Browns kicker all throughout his rookie year, released.
Goes to the Commanders, gets cut by the Commanders, and he ends up on the Bengals.
He's on the Giants practice
It's true.
squad through most of the season. He was picked up by the Browns again, competed through camp, went to the Commanders, was released by the Commanders, picked up by the Bengals. Now he's starting for the Bengals this game.
And he's dating a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader, too. His girlfriend's a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader.
Yeah. His trajectory's all over the place, and at least he has a girlfriend to comfort him and maybe keep him sane, because if his trajectory keeps going, he's going to be like Johnny Cash. He's going to say, I've been everywhere, man. But this is way out there. Like, not a bad guy, but, he has been all over the place. He's been good. He's been bad.
Penn State goes 3 and out, and Drew Aller has a Christian Hackenberg moment on 3rd down. Aller with a Hackenberg moment on 3rd down. Yeah.
Well, I have heard that, and I do agree, I'm not a fan of Penn State's offense. As long as he hasn't had a baby deal with it yet. So, my thing is, last week, just an update on Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb broke his foot, but it's a 4 to 6 week injury. He'll be back by the end of the year. Unfortunately, the Browns aren't going to make the playoffs, so he's not going to play them this year.
And SMU with a first down to the 50-yard line. SMU is within striking distance of field goal range.
The thing is, with Chubb, it is a clean break. So it's not going to be anything serious. He's just going to be out for a few weeks.
Yeah.
But what I'm looking at here, I'm looking at Jerry Jeudy, who set a career record with over 1,000 yards last week. He has the chance, and he has a real possibility of getting 12 to 1,300 yards and 85 to 90 receptions this year versus the triple, what is a lot of people believe is going to be the triple crown winner at wide receiver in Jamar Chase. And I'm looking at those two. I'm also looking at T. Higgins, because if T. Higgins cannot dominate a lackluster number 2 cornerback position for the Browns, all that money he's looking.
Emerson, yeah.
It's gone.
Emerson's out this week, right? And I think Newsom's also injured. So
Newsom's injured, but I'm not sure if he'll be in there. So that's what I'm saying. If T. Higgins can't dominate against what's happening,
Cameron Brown would be the number 2 corner if neither Emerson or Newsom can go.
and that's what I'm saying. Guess what? T. Higgins, you want the money? If you can't dominate a fourth or number 4 or number 5 receiver, or number 4 or number 5 corner, you ain't getting all that money.
Yeah.
So my focus is on the wide receivers, because Cedric Tillman's also out. And if you want to look at trajectory, when did Jameis Winston start to have problems? Was when Tillman got his concussion, and then when he really fell off a cliff, when Njoku went out. And Njoku has not practiced this week. Tillman is still limited with his concussion. So you're looking at the core of one team's receivers being out, and the core of their quarterback group out. Cincinnati has got to dominate here. Are these free agents that all wanted money, who all said we are franchise players? Guess what's going to happen? NFL's going to look at them and say, you ain't done shit. Because you got beaten by a bunch of fourth and fifth string scrubs. This is big game for Cincinnati. It's a huge game for Cincinnati. Because a lot of these guys, all they want is the money that comes with the free agency. And is they get dominated by Jerry Jeudy, a fourth or fifth round cornerback, and number 4 receiver. Well, guess what? All that money they wanted, it evaporates. They ain't getting it. This is a huge game for the skill position players on Cincinnati.
And we both picked the Bengals to win. The Bengals are one of the locks. I'm going 28-14 Bengals. Dorian Thompson-Robinson starting 2 at quarterback. I think that'll be interesting.
Yeah, I just think this is a huge game for Cincinnati skill position players.
It is.
They have got to show.
I mean, both teams are injured at left tackle, too. Orlando Brown Jr. still out. Wills is on IR. So, I mean, both teams.
Wills did that to himself. I mean, when you come out publicly and say, I made a business decision not to play. Well, you weren't playing that great to begin with, so why the hell were we going to put you in there to begin with? You know, so they just basically just sent Jedrick Wills home. They just put him on the IR, basically sent him home.
It's interesting because Wills' agent is Nicole Lynn, who I consider to be the best agent in sports after Steinberg for the NFL. You could put Rosenhaus up there too, but I think he's a tier below those two. But, you know, Nicole negotiated the contract of Quinn Williams and Jalen Hurts when they got extended. She's not going to be having the luxury of playing hardball with Wills, so that's going to be a different situation.
And that was because Wills opened his damn mouth. It's like it had nothing to do with her. It's like he decided to open his mouth and put his foot in it. I mean, like, dude, that was you. You have a great agent who, even though you have played pathetically over the last 2 years, could have gotten you a really good deal, and then you put your foot in your mouth in a way that's going to make everything difficult. Why would you do that? I don't get it. You get it? If you had that much money sitting on the table, would you put your foot in your mouth like that?
Wills isn't that great, but with an agent like Nicole, you could probably get $7 million or $7 to $14 million over 2 years instead of 1 year $5 million deal, which is what most are projecting Wills to get in free agency this year, a 1 year $5 million deal. And with the average agent, that's probably what you get. That's probably what you get with the average agent. But with Nicole, you might get a little bit more than that.
You would have if he hadn't put his damn foot in his mouth. I mean, now we're looking at, he probably would have gotten less with an average agent after he put his foot in his mouth. And, you know, he's going to make sure he gets at least what an average agent can get when, you know, he could have got so much more if he just wouldn't have said something so stupid as, well, I went into business for myself. I made a business decision that I wasn't going to play. Dude, you just cost yourself millions of dollars because you opened your damn mouth and said something freaking stupid. You know who said that? Aaron Donald says things like that. Okay? Guys you cannot deny. Hall of Famers say things like that. Peyton Manning says things like that. Jedrick Wills do not say things like that. Jedrick Wills get his ass bitch slapped back down when he says things like that. That was a stupid thing to say. And it cost him. It cost him the season, it cost him millions of dollars because he has a damn good agent that would have gotten him those millions of dollars. But now she's going to have to fight to get him what an average agent would. And hopefully she gets him more than that just on his sake, despite his stupidity. Because that was a stupid thing and a stupid situation to put himself in.
She might get him 2 years, $12 million, $6 million per year. But that's a best case scenario right now. That's if she plays her cards right and she knocks us out of the park.
Yeah, she's going to have to really work for it because he put himself and her in a horrendous position. It's like, why the hell would you do that? It's like, it's not like you don't look like McGill and Gorilla to begin with.
Isn't it interesting, though? Jedrick Wills' career trajectory is honestly, it's on the same path as Matt Khalil. Matt Khalil, he was in the 2012 draft with Luck and Trent Richardson, but it feels like Wills' career path is on the same trajectory as Matt Khalil, who had a great rookie season, and then everything went downhill from there.
Yeah, it really does. It's like he was on a high trajectory after his rookie year. We were like, hell, maybe he gets it. And I said, all it is mental with him. All it is work ethic. It's mental. Can he get there? And damn, he has not only shown that he can't get there, he has made not only me look wrong and me look bad, he has made everybody with an IQ over 60 look bad. I mean, he has been horrendous mentally. So if he can get him 2 years, $12 million, especially after what he just said, she may be the best agent in sports to get that type of contract out of the freaking McGill and Gorilla looking Oompa Loompa that throws his hands up in the air at the snap, not knowing what he's doing, doesn't even lay a hand on anybody, or lets his quarterback get sacked.
Yep. And I think we've still got 5 games left to pick, but like SMU had a lot of momentum on their opening drive. Abdul Carter missed the tackle, but SMU's tight end, the backup, dropped a pass on 4th and 1. There would have been a touchdown, so Penn State got the ball back. So both these teams playing very sloppy early in this Penn State SMU game. But let's
yeah, that's like when last week when the Browns were driving, going no huddle. And Jameis Winston is like, I'm having the best drive of the year, except I just threw an interception.
Yeah, but Abdul Carter, he's good. But the big knock I've had with Carter is he misses tackles. And he missed the tackle against SMU's running back.
And that's going to just take a big coach that, specializes in tackling. So if you get a good line coach, that'll help. Or a good linebackers coach.
I mean, that's the thing. Bill Sparks mocked Abdul Carter, the Patriots, but the Patriots linebacker coach is Hightower. So he might succeed in New England because they run a 34 and Hightower's their linebackers coach. So Hightower might be able to fix his tackling.
Yeah. Patriots are a good one. I'm thinking if the Browns were at 3-4, I would say Tabor would have been a good one because Tabor is a very good linebackers coach, but they run a 4-3, so I can't.
I like the 43 better personally myself. If we're up to me, I like the 43 scheme better myself.
So do I, but I can't look at the Browns' defensive line coach as anything special.
Yeah.
So I would look at something special. As we're talking assistant coaches, I thought Tabor should have been looked at as a defensive coordinator a long time ago. The fact that he's still a position coach, amazing. Because he is a very good linebacker coach and deserves that opportunity. The big thing, I think, San Francisco, if they draft him, I think their linebackers coach would be amazing.
They run a 43, though. Carter, I just get the vibe he's a 34 guy or an outside linebacker. I know he's lined up at edge rusher this year, but I don't see a 43 guy. I see a 34 guy or an outside linebacker if you just want to use him in coverage.
My worry with Carter is that he ends up like Marquise Mingo.
Yeah.
That's my worry. Like, you think he's going to be great, and then he gets drafted, and then he shows that he is that athlete. But, like you said, big thing, tackling. It's great to be a great athlete. It's great to make all the big
And they're only showing the highlights of Carter on College Game. They're not showing the tape. They're not showing the game film. They're not showing the missed tackles, the bad plays. They're filtering all that out and just trying to sell you the highlight package, which is great, but it's not going to cut it the NFL if he doesn't fix his tackling. And it was snowing in Penn State last night. It's not snowing right now. So, but yeah, Kenneth Walker's going to be back. We're going to get to Vikings Seahawks.
I take the Vikings.
I took the Seahawks.
I think the Vikings got a lot of momentum. I think the Seahawks are coming up. But I think it's too little too late for this season. I think.
But the thing with momentum is it comes and goes. And if you're a big proponent of momentum, the hardest thing you got to do is anticipate when the momentum's going to fade. For me, it's easy because I just look at what team I think is better on paper and I put zero stock into momentum. But if you're a big proponent of momentum, it's hard to fade momentum when a team's hot because you don't know when it's going to disappear.
Not really. Not if you've been in the trenches. You can kind of see when it's going. You know, it's like there are always hiccups in the road. That doesn't mean the momentum has to fade. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. A lot of people, it's like, team has a lot of momentum. Oh, they lost. It's all gone. No, that's not the case. And I think that's the thing here is that, you know, the Vikings, they're rolling. And if they hit a speed bump, fine. I don't think it's going to hurt them as much as a lot of people think. I think the Vikings have had a very good season.
Vikings have lost 2 games to the Lions and the Rams on Thursday night. Those are the only 2 teams to defeat the Vikings this year. They've beaten everybody else.
Both on Thursday night, right?
Yeah, the Rams on Thursday night and the Lions at home in Minnesota. So those
and keep them off Thursday night football. That seems to be their kryptonite. Thursday night football
against the Rams. That's where they lost. They lost the Rams on Thursday night, but that was a game they initially led. So, you know, those are the only 2 losses, and the Vikings won after losing those games. So they're battle tested. They may not only have my momentum, they feel like one of the more battle tested teams.
Yeah, so I'm not too worried about the Vikings. I think they've got a strong core. As long as Sam Darnold is playing at the level he's playing at, like it or not, you know, Sam Darnold is playing at a high level.
And Penn State just got a pick 6 on SMU. Penn State just got a pick 6 on SMU. Zero got a pick 6 in the freaking whiteout crowd. The whiteout crowd is freaking pumped up. So that may have been the play that allows Penn State to rout SMU because they needed that. Neither offense was hot. Neither team was scoring. And Abdul Carter, he fakes a blitz. He looks like he's going to blitz, but he drops back into coverage, disguises his look. And so the quarterback throws it. The Penn State linebacker, Zero, recognizes the play. And and then Penn State gets the pick 6.
That just sounds like an amazing play by the defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Like, he read that like a book, and I was just waiting for you to say Abdul Carter did it, and he still got the interception.
Nope, it was Zero. It was Zero who got the pick six, but Carter faked the blitz and lined up in zone coverage to try to throw the QB off.
Yeah.
And
that's a great sign for Carter, too. Great sign for Carter, because that shows he can do. He can drop back or he can play. He's showing his versatility.
He's always been good in coverage. Like even against Ohio State last year, he's good in coverage, good at blitzing, good at stopping the run. But he misses a lot of tackles. That's the big knock with Carter.
Yeah, Dave, here's the thing. Now he's doing it in the playoffs. All eyes are on him. And that's where it matters. When all eyes are on you. You know, you can do it once or twice, but when all eyes are on you. I
do have Seattle winning 24-21. Wes is taking Seattle. The rest of the staff has the Vikings winning. I believe there's 4 games left. There might be 3. Jaguars, Raiders. I'm taking the Jaguars. I did pick up Alexander Madison off of waivers in fantasy. For the playoffs, because David Montgomery and Dobbins are both injured. So I made the playoffs, but my lineup is super depleted at running back. But I have Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, but I'm playing Josh Allen in the first round of the playoffs. And
I'm not going to look at my fantasy. I've only looked at it like 3 times this year. I have not paid attention to anything going on.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
I still made it. I'm playing Gary Bantle in Jason's Yahoo League. I'm playing Brett in Kerm's League, which is the only league Joey's in. So I'm playing Brett.
I haven't even looked.
Oh, we're still projected to lose to Brett, but we have a 39-point lead.
Okay, who am I playing?
You did not make the playoffs, I don't think. You're in the consolation bracket.
I wouldn't doubt that. It's like when you don't pay attention to your team.
Yeah, you finished 8th on the year at 6-9, but me and Colum both went 8-7. I'm playing Brett though, who's 10-5, and Bantle's the defending champion of the Kerms League. But yeah, you know, it'll be.
I'm actually surprised I got that many wins. I paid absolutely. I think I changed my lineup twice this year. I am surprised I got that many wins.
Yes, so we'll see. I've got Breece Hall and Derrick Henry as my running backs, and I got 10 points from Sutton, 3 points from the Chargers defense, and 26 points from Herbert. This is a 1 QB league, not a 2 QB league. So if Hall and Henry go off at running back, I could end up knocking out Brett. That it just depends if those two step up. Breece Hall and Henry. If those two go off, I've got a chance. Otherwise, I'm probably going to lose to Brett. But whatever. It is what it is. I'm good either way. But yeah, I took the Jaguars to beat the Raiders. I have more confidence in Mac Jones and Ritter. I had a borderline starter grade on Mac Jones. I had a backup grade on Ritter. So I will take Mac Jones and the Jaguars to win 28-20.
Yeah, the Jags too. This was a nothing game. This again just happened.
Oren's taking the Jaguars. The only 3 that picked the Raiders are Kerm, Tracy, and Wes. I think Tracy may have picked the Jaguars. Let me go back to Tracy's let me go back to Tracy's thing to see let me go back to week 16 and see what Tracy did here. Just because yeah, he took the Vikings and the Jaguars. So I got to change that pick from Raiders to Jaguars. Let me do that. Give me a second to do that. And then also, Bantle changed his 49ers Dolphins prediction to 49ers. I'm guessing that means Trent Williams is back at left tackle because Bantle, for him to change his prediction from Dolphins to 49ers out of the blue last night at like 3 a.m., Bale must know something on this about the 49ers to pivot that quickly. He must know something's up with the Niners.
It's a dead heat.
It's like a dead giveaway. Like if Bale's changing his pick from Dolphins to 49ers, he's got to know something that we don't know yet. And I haven't really kept track of the injury report this week because the MLS draft was this week. Is a very short week. So I got all the grades up for all the picks and everything. That's on YouTube. You can go to the live stream. You can go to 2025 draft specials playlist. You can play the MLS draft. It's also in the Draft Utopia playlist. If you go to the most recent episode, the live super draft is up. But yeah, But yeah, I'm just, what's going on here with the, I think Trent Williams, because Guerrero got ruled out. McCaffrey's out, Elijah Mitchell's out, Jordan Mason's out, and Guerrero's out. So the 49ers are going to be playing running back 5. Most teams don't have a running back 5, but they're going to be starting running back 5. So I don't.
If you look at the odds, everything is +1, -1.
Oh, Trent Williams has been ruled out according to Adam Schefter. So then why did Bale switch his pick to the 49ers? If Trent Williams is officially out, why did he switch his pick? It's the mystery. It is the mystery.
The 49ers are -115. Their opponents are -105. Their opponents are -1. The 49ers.
You're looking at the money line. I'm looking at -115 for San Francisco, +105 for Miami, with the Niners as a 1-point favorite. But I think the Dolphins win and cover.
That's the same thing I got. I'm looking at the lines, and it's like it is a.
But it is dead giveaway. It's very close. 52% of the public's betting on San Francisco to win, straight up, even with the injuries, the albatross of injuries.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to think of that game because, I think
so. The Chiefs are going to play Chris Roland Wallace at nickel corner with Chamari Connor and Jalen Watson injured. They're going to play Chris Roland Wallace, who has not even played all year, as their nickel against the Texans today. If I were Stroud, I would just target Roland Wallace the entire game because I don't think he's going to do shit against these Texans receivers. Williams can. McDuffie can do shit against your receivers. Roland Wallace, he was a practice squad guy at the beginning of the year. He wasn't even like the number 7 corner on their depth chart entering training camp. He was like 8th on the depth chart entering training camp. I would just target him the entire game and dare him to intercept you because I don't think he has that dog in him.
I was looking up some stuff. I'm like, who is this guy? Then I was looking. There weren't that many good bets this week, but I was looking at this game thinking, hey, what's going to happen? And I saw this thing. I saw him on the depth chart. I saw he was starting. Now I saw it here, and I'm like, who is this guy? He has never been on anything before. And I look him up, and it's like, there's a reason he hasn't been on anything before. Because he's never been on an active roster before. It's like, so if I'm the Texans, I'm CJ Stroud, I see this guy on the field, I'm going after him. He's never been on a picking line. He has never been on a roster, an active roster. He might have been on the 53, but he's never been on the active 26. Mm-hmm. This guy is a unknown. He's been practice squad. He's been everything else. But if I'm CJ Stroud, I look at him and I'm like, I don't care who the hell he's lined up against. I'm throwing him the ball. Because this guy hasn't shown a damn thing. And nobody knows who the hell he is.
I figured, one of the backup I figured Nazir Johnson, one of their 22 7th round picks, because the Chiefs drafted 4 corners in 22. They drafted Trent McDuffie. They drafted Joshua Williams, Jalen Watson, and Nazir Johnson. I figured they'd play Nazir Johnson at nickel. They're going with Roland Wallace, according to Matt Derrick on Twitter. So just
that's what I've heard, and I had no idea who he was, and I looked him up, and it's like he's like nobody else knows who he was either. But,
yeah.
No, it's Andy Reid. He's got a great staff.
Yeah.
These guys know what they're doing.
Spags is one of the better defensive coordinators. He knows what he's doing. But yeah, I've got the Dolphins beating the 49ers 30-20.
Yeah. Steve Spagnuolo is a perfect example of an amazing defensive coordinator that should be hired by any football team anywhere around the world. One of the best in the business, but failed as a head coach. Not a good head coach. But you put him in as a defensive coordinator, one of the best in the business. I mean, he's one of the best. So if he says this nobody kid
is better than Nazir Johnson, that might say more about Nazir Johnson, but we'll see.
I trust Spags, because Spags, he knows his shit. Even when he failed as a head coach, you could look at his defenses and say, these guys are going to be prepared. The defense coordinator, he is one of the best on the planet. Do not discount him or his game plans.
I'm not high on Penn State's coaching, but Aller showed a lot of moxie on that last play. Even though it was only a 2-yard completion, he's trying to rally his guys and point fingers. He's been very assertive. I haven't seen this type of moxie from Aller before. He's always had the deep ball, but the moxie's the thing I've wanted to see from Aller for a while. And SMU with a big third down sack.
Well, Aller has always been somebody who has shown the potential to do it, because he's done it in spurts, but he's never really been continuously. He's never been continuously like that. He's shown potential to be that. One of the reasons I'm glad he went back, because it's like he gets to show it.
And everybody who said he went back is pissed because they're saying Aller's not going to be as good without his weapons. That may be the case, but we'll find out. This will test his leadership.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that was missing from him, was his leadership. So I have no doubt.
So Penn State goes for it on 4th and 13. Aller underthrows a screen pass, and he looks about as self-defeated as Carson Beck after that failed 4th down attempt on 4th and 13. But I don't fault Aller there. That's just horrible coaching to go for it on 4th and 13 and to call a screen pass. I'm not saying I don't hold any blame on Aller, but I am blaming 90% of that on the coaching and 10% of that on Aller. Because you don't go for it on 4th and 13 and call a fucking screen pass. That's just horrible coaching.
Yeah, you don't call a screen pass
on 4th and 13. Not 4th and 10, 4th and 13.
That's just a horrible play. That's just a horrible play call, because you are setting your quarterback up for failure either way. If it's incomplete, it's because you know there's going to be blitzes coming. It's like,
maybe the coach didn't trust their kicker. They were at the 30-yard line. They were at like the 38-yard line of SMU. They didn't trust their kicker.
If you're on the 30-yard line, even if you don't trust your kicker, you got to give him a chance. But unless what was the kicker stat? Is the kicker, some freaking horrific dude that's never done anything, or is kicking at 60%? It's like, this is the playoffs, dude.
you got here for a reason. You got to trust your guys to put points on the board. All right. You know, you're up 7-0. You got to trust your guy to make that 10-0. Those 3 points in the playoffs could mean the game. You have, you know, if he misses, he's got to be held accountable.
Yeah, Carter with a good speed rush there on 2nd and long. Sunday night game is Buccaneers Cowboys. I have Baker Mayfield beating Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys bare ass. 42-0 Buccaneers win. Baker Mayfield spanks Jerry Jones on national television. 42-0 Buccaneers. That's my score. 42-0 Tampa Bay over Dallas. That is my score, Joey. I know you're looking at me in complete disbelief and thinking, is he serious? Does Chris seriously have Baker Mayfield winning 42-0? Yes. I have the Buccaneers beating Dallas 42-0. That is my score for this week's Sunday night game. You heard that correctly. Do you need a few more minutes to interpret everything I just said?
It wasn't the fact that you said the Buccaneers shut out the Cowboys. It was the fact you said 42. 42. That's a hell of a number. The Cowboys' defense has not been the problem. So when you say 42, I'm just sitting here like, shit, I could see 21. 42? I could see 24 nothing. I could even see 28 nothing. 22 to nothing? Damn. I mean, Cooper Rush get his leg broke and, you know, have the Cowboys defense just collapse suddenly, randomly, and then it's like all second and third stringers against Baker Mayfield. Because remember, not that long ago, Baker Mayfield was the number 1 overall pick in the draft. This dude's not a pushover. But at the same time, neither is the Dallas defense. So it's like, Baker's amazing. I've always loved Baker. I've loved Baker from the time he was at Texas Tech. But I ain't stupid. Dallas has got a good defense. They got a really good defense. They got one of the best pass rushers in the game. They got perhaps the best pass rusher in the game outside of Myles Garrett. Because Myles Garrett's the best.
I would argue Hutchinson was the best this year until his injury. But you could put Hutchinson...
I can argue that Dallas has the second best pass rusher in the game.
I would argue Hutchinson's the best when he's healthy.
Well,
and then I would argue...
He's not there right now. So I'm trying to think about who is there right now.
Well, I don't look at who's there right now. I look at what their impact on the team is. That's the first thing I would...
If they're not there right now, they're not having much of an impact, though.
Maybe not, but I feel like, he was on a historic pace before the injury in Week 6 against Dallas. He was on a historic pace.
I won't...
So I would...
I won't argue that.
I would go, if I'm ranking edge rushers, I would go Watt at 1, and I would go with Hutchinson at 2. And then I think you could put Garrett and Parsons at 3 and 4. But regardless of how you feel, those are probably the top 4. The order's interchangeable and varies by year.
Yeah, you can talk about the order all you want, but, Parsons, it makes it hard for me to say Baker's going to come out of this unscathed enough to get 42 points out of his offense. When you're looking across and say, Micah Parsons right there, then you got one of the best corners in the NFL over there. But not only
Well, if Wirfs plays out of its mind, it's possible. It's unlikely, but it's possible. If Wirfs plays out of his mind and neutralizes Parsons like Trent Williams has in the past, it's unlikely, but it's possible.
If Wirfs before the game, I love Wirfs. He's really good. But Wirfs would have to take cocaine, the sniffer was there like 5 minutes before the game, be hypersensitive, hyper-aggressive, and incredibly active, the most athletic we've ever seen him. Scott Parsons. Parsons, there is a chance he gets 2 sacks in this game. The only reason he doesn't get 4 sacks is because Wirfs is good. But to completely neutralize Parsons, you would either A, have to be a top 3 to 5 offensive tackle, or B, you'd have to be on cocaine. Because that's the only way you're going to convince me he's going to have the energy for picking you up and the ultra awareness to make things happen the way they need to
And
happen.
look, even though Parsons is mainly a 43 right end, there are plays where they'll line him up as a left end, and in those plays, he's going to be going up against Godecki. I do not trust Godecki as Parsons. As good as Godecki is, he's not going to win a lot of one-on-ones against Parsons.
I have seen them line him up at linebacker this year. Linebacker. Left end. Right end. It's like he is like a younger version of Myles Garrett, just realizing how great he can be. I mean, that's what I love about him, is because he is the next generation of great pass rushers, and he is right there. He is right there with guys like Myles Garrett. And Garrett's coming on the downside of his career, and Parsons on the upside of him.
Yeah, I was going to say something about Garrett earlier. There's a lot of people that I don't think Garrett's peaked. I think Garrett's going to be in his prime until he's 34 or 35 because Garrett's only 28 and he's going to turn 29 next week. So I don't think Garrett's going to decline until he's like 34 or 35. Whereas with Watt, I think Watt is in his prime for 1 or 2 more years. And then when the contract expires in 2026, that's when I think he's no longer in his prime. And he probably declines the year after that in 2027. Because Watt's already 30, Joey. TJ Watt turned 30 in October. So by the time his contract's up in 2026, he will be 31, turning 32 after he gets his next payday. So I do think Watt is going to start declining because Watt already has a family and stuff, and he's got a kid now. I'm not saying that'll keep him from performing, but father time is undefeated. It does catch up with everybody at some point. So I think Watt is closer to declining than Garrett is. But that's just an estimation. That is an estimation. I could be wrong on that.
You really need to stop listening to me, because I said that to you a long time ago after a buddy of mine said that to me when it came to how hard I work and how I keep. Doesn't matter how many pain medication I take. You know, I just keep going. He's like, all the time's undefeated. All the time's undefeated. Like, and then I said that to you, and now you're using it against me. Like, you know.
I'm just saying, I think Watt's got this year and next year and maybe the year after that, but it's coming. The Watt decline or retirement is coming. It's going to hit.
The reason I did not include Watt with Garrett and Parsons is because I think the decline's already come. If you look at it over the last 2 years, Watt has not been the same player without Hightower. Hightower has to be there, or Watt is.
Highsmith, but yeah.
I was thinking of Hightower from Police Academy because he was also Too Tall Joe. He was played by Too Tall Joe from Hall of Famer for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
I don't know why I was thinking about him, but I mean, if you're gonna think about somebody that you shouldn't be thinking about, at least he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
But the thought is,
Watt did reach 11.5 sacks this year, but isn't this the first time in his career he's failed to get a sack against the Browns in both games?
Well, here's the thing. This is what, for the first time ever, I bet on somebody to get a sack, and that was Myles Garrett. And the reason why was Orlando Jones isn't there, and guess what? If
Orlando Brown's not there.
he is going to get 100 sacks for his career.
Yeah, and it took Watt until this year, before the age of 30, to get 100 sacks. He got 100 sacks back in September before he turned 30. Barely.
And Miles will.
So Reggie White and TJ Watt are the only players to get 100 sacks before the age of 30. They're the only two players in NFL history to do that. And neither guy did that before they turned 29. Garrett has a chance to do that before 29 because Garrett's birthday's on the 26th. So if Garrett gets a sack against the Bengals, or a sack and a half, he will beat both Watt and Reggie White to 100 sacks. He'd be the only player to get 100 sacks before the age of 29.
And I've done some research on this. Outside of Reggie White, Myles Garrett has been the only one that I have heard from former coaches say has been triple teamed on a daily.
And Penn State with another pick six. 13 this time returns it for a touchdown.
Damn. So Penn State's defense.
Well, they benched Preston Stone for Preston Stone began the year as SMU's starting quarterback. They benched him for somebody else. I think at this point you put Preston Stone back in. As much as I like Jennings in his future, it's like Jennings was not the starter at the beginning of the year. Preston Stone was. At this point, I'm putting Preston Stone back in. Jennings has thrown 2 pick sixes. Let's see what Preston Stone can do and if he can rally us.
Yeah, because here's the thing. One of the things that was...
Is that Mom?
No, I'm not your mom.
No, I the person that knocked on my door. Is that my mom or is that somebody else? Maybe somebody left a mail or a Christmas package here. Yes, it's please handle with care. It's fragile. This is to my apartment. Okay. And this is from Miramar, Florida. So I did get a package. It's fragile. So we still haven't picked the Monday night game yet, but we're just having this fun rant, this fun conversation on is this the let's see what this is. Is this my is this the thing I asked for Christmas? It's Fanatics, and it's oh cool. This is a surprise gift. It's a Dallas Stars Zamboni. That's a pretty cool Christmas present. And this is this other thing came from Fanatics. I don't even know what it is. It's something's inside this. It says Fanatics, but there's something inside the box. I don't even know what's inside the box. So, okay. Surprise gift here. We got this Fanatics card. It says collect with confidence. Verify your collectibles. Holy crap. A surprise gift. I didn't even order this, but apparently I got a what is this? Holy crap. It's a hockey puck. I think it's a Wyatt Johnston autographed hockey puck. I didn't even order this, but I'm very happy I got it. Like, just a surprise. Did my mom get me this as a surprise gift? A Wyatt Johnston autographed hockey puck. Wyatt Johnston, the Stars 2021 first round pick. He's led the Dallas Stars in points in the playoffs each of the last 2 years. An autographed Wyatt Johnston hockey puck. Wow. That is going to be worth a lot someday. I mean, I honestly want to keep it in the wrap. Well, I don't know if I want to keep it in the wrapper. I mean, I want to keep it in good condition, but at the same time, we got to keep it in the box. So, but yeah, that could be worth something someday. I'm not sure. Should I keep the wrapper or should I throw the wrapper away? I autographed Hockey Puck of a good player. What? Keep it
in the wrap.
Keep it in the wrapper?
Keep it in the wrapper. Keep it in condition. You don't let anything touch it.
Okay. I'll take your word on that, Joey. But wow, Wyatt Johnston autographed Hockey Puck. That is probably the best surprise Christmas gift I've ever gotten. And I also got a Dallas Stars Zamboni as like a thing in the background. I am getting something from Amazon. I am getting something from Amazon. It's an LED ticker and it can keep track of sports scores, stocks, and crypto. It can do all three, an LED ticker. So that is pretty cool. So,
you know, it was at a point when I was singing Bohemian Rhapsody as you were unwrapped. So
I thought the LED ticker came. That's why I opened the thing. I thought it came early, but these are very nice presents. So thank you, Mom. Or whoever got me this present, thank you for the Wyatt Johnston autographed Hockey Puck. That is an excellent surprise. I did not expect that coming, and I'm happy about that. So whoever sent me that, thank you. All right, New Orleans Saints also got this cool Dallas Stars Zamboni. So if I want to put like a toy or a prop item in the background of the podcast, Dallas Stars Zamboni, that's a perfect prop item to put in the background of the live stream. It's like, because there's like toys and stuff on Pat McAfee's desk, like bobbleheads and stuff in his studio. He doesn't take them on the road, but they're in his studio. So that's a cool prop item to have, I think. The Dallas Stars Zamboni. Yes, Saints, Packers. Saints and Packers. This is going to be an ugly game. Packers 28, Saints 14. And the football game on NBC just started, the Chiefs-Texans game. NBC. Only reason I'm changing it because it's on the brink of becoming a blowout. And the Texans just got the ball, and Joe Mixon, Stroud drops back, and Stroud throws it to Tank Dell for a first down here. And that is that game is just underway. Or it's only in the first minute though. So yeah. But yeah, we're on the last game. Packers Saints. I'm taking the Packers 28-14. You got a score for this Packers Saints game?
no, it's just gonna be sad.
Spencer Rattler first start on Monday Night Football. Sounds great.
Tears. Like the Texans offensive lineman is down on the mat. Tears.
Are you a few seconds ahead of me because you said Texans offensive line?
I just turned it on. I turned it on after you said something. I'm at 13:04.
Yeah, I'm at 13:09, but yeah. And that was a nice tackle by Justin Reed.
So we got everything going.
Yeah, I mean, oh shit, a lineman just got injured. Was that what you were trying to say a few seconds ago when you turned the game on? 69 just got injured for the Texans.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about, how he was shedding tears like those other tears we were talking about.
So, yeah, that's...
Yeah.
Who is that? Is that... I don't think that's either Howard or Tunsil, because when Juice Scruggs got injured, they moved Titus Howard from right tackle to left guard. They moved Blake Fisher, their rookie. That's how little confidence the Texans have in Kenyon Green, that they would rather play Titus Howard at left guard than play Kenyon Green another down. So, but now they're going to have to play Green if that's Howard, in fact. And if it's Tunsil, they're fucked. It's Tunsil, yeah, you won the division, but you're playing, whoever you play in the wild card round is going to knock your ass out. Kenyon Green would not play a left tackle. Kenyon Green would not play left tackle. They'd probably put Howard or Fisher at left tackle. But yeah, I think we've covered everything as far as games go today. I'll quickly provide
provide an update, show how bad Penn State is whooping the ass of the other team.
Yep.
At this point, it's probably going to be 25-0 based on the defensive interceptions.
Tanner B's into the New England Revolution. I'm just going to read through the team grades Travis Clark gave each team in the MLS Super Draft. He gave Atlanta a B grade for Roman Wynn and Kolvik, the Maryland Big Ten Defender of the Year. I'd say that's a B plus, but I'm pretty much on the same page as Travis. Austin FC, they got Riley Thomas in round 2 and Patrick Grzuski in round 3. The Thomas is a good value pick. I thought their draft was okay. Charlotte FC, they reached on every pick. They traded up in the first round again. Dave Tepper, once again reaching for value. Takes a backup left back, not even the best left back on Connecticut, but the backup with the 9th overall pick. Dave Tepper, you never cease to amaze us. You never cease to amaze us with your decisions. Trading up for a backup in the draft. Just when I thought you couldn't top leaving 2 number 1 picks unprotected in an expansion draft, you found a way to do something stupider. Way to go, Dave. Way to set the bar. Chicago Fire, they took Dean Bolts at 3. They took Travis Smith Jr. at 33, and they took a left back out of Dayton in the 3rd round. Cincinnati only had 1 pick. They took a midfielder out of Gonzaga. The Rapids absolutely crushed this draft. They got Alex Harris, my number 1 player, at 4. They got Matthew Sanow, tallest center back in the draft, 6'4", 214 at number 6 out of Xavier. They took Efeto Aurora, a midfielder out of Portland, a defensive midfielder at 12. Sidney Wathune at 16. And they got Joshua Copeland at 26. So they ended up with 5 first-round picks. They had 3 of the top 5 players last year, and the Rapids, not only did they get my number 1 player in Harris, they end up with an additional 4 first-round picks in addition to Harris. Jeez. So they have 4 top 5 picks, and they have 4 complementary players on the roster. And they got Charlie Harper, who Joey liked in round 2, and they also got I would say the Rapids crushed this draft. I don't know if they had the best definitive draft, but they have 2 first-round picks in 26 and 27. They got 2 seconds, 2 thirds in 26 and 27 too. So, I mean, things are looking very good for the Rapids. I would say they are going to win an MLS Cup in the next 5 years if Harris pans out. Because you add all that talent, shit, you're going to win at some point. I mean, that's the thing. You get all that talent and smart decision-making by Stan Kroenke. Chiefs do have the ball now. DC United took Karamoko at 10. LAFC took Alec Hughes. But he had a poor MLS combine. He was a top 5 prospect, but he had a very bad performance at the MLS College Showcase. Scouts said he looked slow, was not running effectively in his sprints. So that's why he dropped all the way down to 22. He was in the top 5 before the MLS College Showcase, but a poor combine performance knocked him down, according to Travis Clark.
This old man, freaking Hopkins, is making people look fucking stupid.
I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because I've got Mahomes on my fantasy team, but Gary Bantle has Hopkins, I think. So I've got Worthy, though.
Well, old man Hopkins is making people look stupid right now.
Yep. And I figured Hopkins would have a signature game today because it's him versus his former team, the team that drafted him.
It's looking more and more like Kelsey's probably going to retire. And Gray is looking pretty good, even though he had caught a pass.
And was that Worthy who caught that, or was that Brown? Or no, that was number.
Hopkins.
That was Hopkins. Okay. Well, I think with Kelsey, he's just got a lot going on in his mind. He filmed a game show this summer. He's more focused on that than football. I'd say Kelsey only has 1 or 2 years left.
And there are pregnancy rumors with Taylor Swift because, those two are kind of a thing, And there are rumors that Kelsey, once he retires, he's going to move back to his hometown in Ohio, which is right outside Cleveland, which in that case, he's going to move out there with Taylor Swift. And so they're going to start a family out there and stuff like that. So it's like, you're right. He's probably got a lot of stuff on his mind right now because he's got a lot of plans.
And Are You Smarter Than the Celebrity is basically a parody of Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader, except Travis Kelce runs the show and it's on Amazon Prime. And if that becomes a regular show and he's got the New Heights podcast, there's just a lot of other things on his mind. And Taylor Swift.
Let's be honest. He and Jason together, I would hope that they would find a way to get Jason in there because those two together are a riot. One of them is really good apart, but when you put them together, they are.
Well, with Are You Smarter Than a Celebrity, it's Travis Kelce's show, but they do have Ryan Fitzpatrick or Chad Ochocinco on nearly every episode. They always have one football guy on Are You Smarter Than a Celebrity, and it's usually Fitzpatrick or Ochocinco.
And what station's that on?
Amazon Prime. Are You Smarter Than a Celebrity?
Yes, I want to see that. I've got Amazon Prime. I'm going to be looking for that because
it's already out. It's been out for a while, but I've watched like every episode of the season. But it's Ochocinco or Fitzpatrick.
I want it. I'm like SpongeBob looking at a jug of water. I want this.
Yeah, they've had some good documentaries on Amazon Prime as of late, too. They had a EA Sports documentary with the old Madden games. It was very...
It's like, I'm like, he doesn't have a high ankle sprain, and then he didn't get up very quick. I'm like, okay, he might have high ankle sprain. Adrenaline is a hell of a drug.
Yeah.
You'll see it. Just watch it. You'll see it here in a second. It's like Kansas City did not report this accurately. Okay,
and Mahomes scrambles and he's short of a first down as Jimmy Ward.
Can you tell now why I was so pissed off about high ankle sprain and sitting out a playoff game? That's what Patrick Mahomes just did.
Yeah.
He didn't sit out a single game. Not one. Just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Mahomes is amazing, though.
Hey, Mr. Bond, are you watching this game today? Are you watching it right now? Just saying.
And Mahomes throws to number 5. I believe that's Marquise Brown in his first game back from an injury.
Yeah,
who caught that? Hollywood Brown. Yep. So that was him who caught that. Yeah, Worthy looked open at first, but as the play developed, the Texans did a better job covering him, and they didn't really lock in on Hollywood Brown. But that was a good...
They're not really locking in on much of anything right now. And the Chiefs are just doing whatever the fuck they want.
Yep. Yeah, Inter Miami, they got Bailey Sparks at 52, 9 goals, 10 assists. Adudokin fell to 13 at Montreal.
Well, That's a kick in the crotch right there. Hey, Bond, are you watching yet? Are you watching yet, Mr. Bond? Why don't you look? Why don't you look, Mr. Bond, really closely? Well, Mr. Bond, my ankle sprain? You gotta have
Mahomes with a rushing touchdown. That is going to help me in fantasy because rushing touchdowns are worth 6, passing touchdowns are worth 4. That is going to help me a lot.
Chris, do you see why I'm, kind of taunting Bond right now?
Yeah, I see why you're taunting him, why you're roasting him.
It's like, come on, Mr. Bond, do you see what I'm seeing? And you're sitting out? Do you really want to put this? And then you got Kelsey standing there like a freaking mob boss. Like, you want to come with me? Slap you down. It's not one of the most intimidating things you could ever see in your life that the Kelsey brothers just standing there with arms crossed, in black suits, like, and you're going into a bar and they're the bouncers. It's like, I'm sorry, sir, I didn't mean to come to your.
I was thinking they'd be the Secret Service agents rather than bouncers, but we pretty much had the same thought process there.
Yeah, it's like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to come here. It's like,
yeah, I can just see Jason Kelsey in a Secret Service suit saying, "Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to leave the White House premises."
Yeah, I can see that too. It's like, it's like you're one of these teams that go to a new stadium like Jacksonville or Cleveland. It's like, what's our security? Let's hire the Kelsey brothers and just stand out in the front gate. Nobody will cause any problems. Put them in black suits. Give them some sunglasses. And look, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to disturb your multi-billion-dollar stadium. I'm so sorry. It's like ultimate security. But those guys are just those guys are just intimidating as hell. Me, I would ask them who their tailor was, but,
Yeah, Portland had a really good draft as well. The Timbers, they got Ian Smith at 14, number 3 player on your board, and they got Lucas Burns, second-round goalie in the 3rd round. They didn't have a second-round pick. They did pretty well for a team with only 2 picks. I think that should be an A- instead of a B+, but it's splitting hairs. I'm not really going to argue. Real Salt Lake was the only team to get 8 A+ grades. They got Barrera at 19. They got Lineker at 29. They got Sergi Solanzu was the West Coast Conference Freshman of the Year at Oregon State at 30. They got Nick Dang, the Virginia center back, Trace Alfin, in addition to Connecticut's goalie, Liam O'Gara, and Vukovic out of Marshall at 89. San Diego took Manu Dua at number 1. Manu Dua is a really good defensive midfielder, good dribbler. Earthquakes took Max Floriani, the St. Louis center back, at 2. Floriani's a better passer than Ethan Bartlow, who I was really high on back in 2021. More accurate passer. And he knocks people on their asses like Tomas Hilliard arse, but his tackles are cleaner. His tackles are cleaner, not really perceived as a dirty player. And I think that's a good pick for San Jose. I think Floriani, and they took Reed Roberts at number 5. A center back on San Francisco. So those 2 center backs for Bruce Arena, I think they are going to come in. They're going to absorb everything like a sponge, and Arena is going to make sure they can be ready to make a big impact. Because Bruce Arena, you've seen what he's done with center backs.
Stat up there, as bad as the Chiefs offense has been this year, they're still number 1 in every major category in the NFL. That is freaking stupid. As bad as they have been, they're still number 1 in the NFL.
In run defense, they're number 1.
Offensively.
Points per game, total yards per game.
It's like, how? Just how? It's like, they have not been that good, yet they're still leading the NFL. Does that not speak to how damn good they are?
Yeah, I think if the Ravens don't win the AFC, it's probably going to be the Chiefs. Because the Chiefs they're that team. until they get beaten.
This is an off year for them. How?
Yeah.
Nico.
Emil Jaskalainen fell to 7.
Fantasy person I paid attention to this year, Nico. And that's because I've been a fan of yours since your days in Michigan.
Yeah, I interviewed Nico at the Senior Bowl, so we're both fans of him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then Joe Mixon right there. I am a huge fan of Joe Mixon. I have been for years, even when you discounted him after some of his early career issues.
I thought Perrine was better at Oklahoma, and Perrine had the bulk of the carries, but then Mixon had 2 really good years. I drafted him in fantasy. He burns me the 3rd year, but he's been better since he got the Bengals to the Super Bowl the year after he burned me in fantasy.
The Bengals let him go. The Bengals have had problems in the run game.
They have Chase Brown. Chase Brown has emerged in the running game.
Chase Brown has emerged, yes, but overall, best year of his career right now for Joe Mixon. I am so proud of this guy. I have carried his banner for years. I'm so glad to see that he is excelling the way he is. It's so great to see. It's so great to see that he has turned his life around the way he has.
Buckner.
And everything that he has done. It really is an inspirational story.
Yep, definitely. And the Chiefs are just doing enough to win, but Stroud is managing the game very well. I'm going to go back to TNT, get a quick update on the Penn State SMU game, because I've gone through all the MLS teams. It is 21-0 now. Is that a 3rd pick 6? How'd they get 21? Fumble recovery for a touchdown, apparently. So they've had 3 defensive turnovers.
Okay, so
yeah, at this point, you got to put. At this point, you got to put. You got to put Preston Stone in at this point. I'm sorry. It's like this guy wasn't even the starting QB at the beginning of the year. Preston Stone was. And I like this guy. He earned a captaincy. Oh, he was down by contact. His knee was down. This is going to get overturned. I don't know if that's going to affect the touchdown, but
at the same token, it's like, why does Penn State's offense have to do anything? It's like they have one drive where they actually had to do something, and the rest of the time it's been like, let the defense do it. I'm actually disappointed in the SMU offense. Come on, guys.
Penn State handed you a near 1st and goal scenario with the pass interference penalty, and you couldn't score on 4th and 1 at the 5-yard line. It was 4th and 1 at the 5-yard line. You couldn't get any points on that drive. So, very disappointing.
I am really disappointed in the SMU offense. I expected them to really press Penn State. I thought Penn State was going to win, but I really thought that the SMU offense would put some pressure on. Nope. Not happening.
Yeah.
And it is kind of sad.
And the Texans end up getting a field goal, but still 7-3 Chiefs.
Yeah. Because I wanted to see Aller really ball out. Aller hasn't really had a chance to ball out. You know why? Because the Penn State defense has been balling out, and Aller really hasn't had the ball.
Yeah, definitely.
It's like great for the Penn State offense. I love it. Or the Penn State defense, I love it. But at the same time, I want to see some stuff from the other guys.
Yeah.
It's like you guys are rocking it. I'm so happy for you, but I want to see more. I can't see more if you guys are freaking dominating the entire game.
Yeah. And someone in the chat room goes, will Orlando ever get an MLS Cup? I touched on this last week. Their best opportunity was last year because last year you had Patrick Schultz and Roman Celentano, the two best goalies in the MLS Super Draft, go down in the first round. I mean, I'm not saying Orlando will never win one, but they're going to have to go through Miami with Lionel Messi, best soccer player in the world, Roman Celentano, 24-year-old goalie entering year 3, or they're going to have to go entering year 4, Patrick Schultz, 23-year-old goalie entering year 3, who won an MLS Cup as a rookie. They're going to have to go through one of those 3 next year, even if they get the 1 seed. I'm not saying they can't do it, but last year was their best shot. When are they going to get another opportunity where they don't have to deal with Messi, one of those 2 young goalies, Celentano or Schultz, and they're going to have home field and the kill shot? All they have to do is just execute the kill shot, and they're in the MLS Cup. When are they going to get that hand dealt to them again? Probably, I don't know if they're going to get that hand dealt to them again. Honestly, that's why I said last year was a failed season for Orlando, because they're probably not going to get that hand dealt to them again. Even if they get the 1 seed, they're probably going to have to go through Cincinnati or Columbus, who both have young goalies who are good. And
they broke my heart, kicked them in the daddy bags.
So, yeah, and they screwed Joey out of $40, which is the main thing.
I am not a fan of theirs right now. This was their perfect opportunity.
Because they didn't have to go through one of the young goalies or Messi. And you had home field in the conference finals. So you're not going to get that hand dealt to you again. Even if you get the 1 seed next year, you're probably playing either Messi, Roman Celentano, or Patrick Schultz in the conference finals next year. And you're probably losing again.
Yeah. This was one of the few times I was confident in a soccer team to win something. And it broke my damn heart. So, no. They're not going to win anything ever.
I wouldn't go that far. But yeah.
They are like a spurned ex to me. It's like you never get another chance with me.
All right. But yeah, the Chiefs are what's going on with the medical department? They're checking in on something.
They were checking out somebody. I think it was number 30.
30? Is that the Chiefs or the Texans who they're checking out? Chiefs. That looks like if I had to guess, I would guess that's the fullback or Carson Steele. If I had to take an educated guess, might be Carson Steele, the rookie from UCLA. That might be who's down on the play.
The one that I was really high on, of course.
That might be. It's not Kareem Hunter Pacheco who's down, but I think that might be Carson Steele who's down.
Yeah, I think it's Steele too.
It's either the fullback or Carson Steele. From by process of elimination, it is one of those two. It cannot be anybody else on that roster. Those are the only.
What if it was like some of the former NBA games where they accidentally messed up the jerseys and somebody had to put on a different jersey without their name on it?
Yeah, that could be it too.
I'm just talking about an incident with Michael Jordan back in the mid-'80s when they forgot to send his jersey and he had to wear like I think he's wearing his Olympic number 9 for 1 game. And then it was never spoken of again. Because they misplaced his bloody jersey. Which is... I'm sure somebody got fired over that, too.
Yeah.
How do you misplace your franchise player's jersey? It's like... Yeah, it's fired. Can you imagine how it would turn out if they misplaced Patrick Mahomes' jersey? Like, fired.
Yeah, it'd be the equivalent of parking in his spot.
Yeah. It's never a good thing.
Yeah, the NHL Winter Classic used to be on New Year's Day, but they've moved it back to New Year's Eve because of all the playoff games. They moved it back to New Year's Eve because of all the playoff games in college football. That's the type of domino effect college football has on the NHL, that it's actually put the NHL in a position where they had to move the game a day ahead.
Kareem Hunt is the running back right now, so I don't know if that indicates it might have been Pacheco.
It's Steele. I think it was Steele that got injured. 33 on the
do
Chiefs.
But when it comes out with Hunt instead of Pacheco, that kind of makes me.
They're being cautious of Pacheco. They are being cautious of Pacheco.
Okay. So you take the 3-wheeled Hunt and let him roll. Oh shit.
You know what? I'm on the Chiefs website. I can just organize the player by number here, and we should find out who number 33. 34 is Perrine. 42 is Carson Steele. I thought it was like 33 or 43 that was injured on the play for the Chiefs.
Might have been. Who's number 48 on the Texans? Harris?
I believe so. I think he just came back.
Yeah, Harris just made a bunch of people look really fucking stupid.
Yep, Christian Harris is on the Texans.
Yeah, he just made a bunch of people look really fucking stupid. Taylor Swift will not look fondly upon you tonight, Travis. That was a putrid effort. Get your ass moving, boy.
So Mahomes recovered the fumble, but Harris put him in a really bad spot. And Travis is looking at Mahomes, and he's thinking, oh, man. And Mahomes is like, come on, motherfucker, catch, boy.
Yeah, and it wasn't like Mahomes had to go through effort to get that punt or get that fumble. It's like the only thing he had to do was fall down. He dropped it like right underneath him. He had no effort in that at all.
Because heading into the year, there were people that still thought Travis Kelce could be tight end 1 in fantasy, but everybody who took Kelce got burned big time. Everybody who took Kelce thinking he'd remain tight end 1 got burned big time. I still think he's a good player, but he's not the player he was 2 or 3 years ago. Maybe he gets hot for a few games in the playoffs, but he's not the regular season performer he was a few weeks ago. And that was Shaq Mason who got injured, the right guard. So that was Mason who got injured for the Texans. Nick Bolton went like straight for the ankle or knee on that injury. It looked like, I think the ankle more so than the injury, but it looked like he was trying to twist the ankle on that play. That was just really disappointed in Nick Bolton on that. I mean, it's Nick Bolton has more maturity and humility than Kayvon Thibodeau, so I really wouldn't peg him as the type to go for an offensive lineman's ankle or knee on a play. I'm not pissed as much as I am disappointed because I expect a little bit more from Bolton than I do Thibodeau. I hold him to a higher standard. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe that's my problem, Joey, but yeah. We've covered everything on TalkShoe. I'm going to end the live stream on TalkShoe. We can still talk and rant on Restream, but I am going to end. Okay, so TalkShoe ended. I thought TalkShoe started the recording, and then it goes white again because it was red for a second, and then it turned white. I was waiting for it to be red and then to end the recording, but it stopped and started and stopped again, but now we're back, I guess, on TalkShoe. But yeah, I was going to wait for it to be red for a few minutes and then turn off the recording, but we've pretty much covered everything today. I'll probably wait until a good stopping point to cut off. I mean, if the Penn State game goes to halftime and there's a Chiefs commercial at the same time, that's probably the perfect cutoff point. Wouldn't you think, Joey? that's probably the perfect cutoff point for both the live stream and the podcast. Because I know you don't want to be here until 4 or 6 like last week. So I'm just trying to think. The Chiefs-Texans game is about to go to the second quarter, and there's about a minute left in the Penn State game. And Stroud throws it. That was just bad coverage by the Chiefs. Nico with an incredible catch, but that was just, why is Jaden Hicks playing? Jaden Hicks is nothing more than a backup, but here you see number 2 Joshua Williams just getting roasted by Nico Collins, and that's just a good job by the Texans making sure Nico Collins is not against McDuffie, because he will shred any corner on the Chiefs outside of McDuffie. Nico Collins will. You need to have McDuffie mirroring Collins on every play, every direction. And I just don't see that urgency from the Chiefs right now. And that's got to change. But yeah, that's going to do it for this edition on TalkShoe. We're still on Restream, though, for a few minutes. I'm going to go back to the Penn State game. Is this not a blowout? Is it 2nd and goal for Penn State with a minute left in the first half? They're calling their first timeout, Joey, but there's a minute left in the half. Question is, do we... if Penn State scores, we'll end this on Restream. I can't believe we still have 13 people here. Yeah, we have 13 people on Restream still listening to the show, but yeah. But they had a play where they lined up Tyler Warren as a quarterback, like a wildcat type play where they nearly scored in a touchdown this year. But yeah, they're showing off Warren's highlights. That's nice. But yeah, it's second and goal here. Penn State's probably going to try to put this away, because I just ended the show on TalkShoe, but yeah, it's like Penn State I just ended on TalkShoe. We're still live on Restream, but Penn State just scored. The Chiefs game's in a commercial. This is probably the perfect time to end things on Restream. Nicholas Singleton rushing touchdown. So it's 27-0 Penn State.
Oh, 27?
Yeah, extra point, it'll be 28-0. Extra point, it'll be 28-0.
What are Aller's stats? Because it's like he really hasn't had an opportunity to do much.
I'll look at that right now. It is Google has not updated the game. Now they've updated the game. Okay, so Aller is 11 for 20 with 106 yards. No touchdowns, no picks. Both running backs got a rushing touchdown. Singleton and Allen both have one rushing touchdown.
Yeah, that's actually more than I thought he had done. So I'm actually kind of happy about that, because he really hasn't had many opportunities. So that makes me think at least he's trying to take advantage.
And they're probably just going to bleed the football with Singleton's at 7 carries, Allen's at 5 carries, and Aller's at 5 carries. So the two running backs, 12 carries combined. Aller's at 5 carries, and Tyler Warren's at 1 carry. So they're probably just going to run the football and bleed the clock in the second half unless SMU scores.
I agree, because it's like Aller hasn't had to do much.
And you're up by 28. So at this point, you may as well just bleed the clock until SMU scores.
Yeah.
You can bleed the clock until SMU gets 14 to be if we're being completely honest, Joey, you can bleed the clock until SMU gets to 14.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's like, and why are you going to put your cornerstone quarterback in a position where he could potentially get hurt when you're at 28 freaking nothing? Absolutely not. That's, all his incompletions for the most part have been circumstantial because something happened.
Next week, we'll have the kicker rankings and Week 17 games. We'll recap some of the Week 17 games because there will be 3 games there's going to be 2 games on Christmas Day. There's going to be the Thursday night game, and then there's going to be a triple header on Saturday on NFL Network. There's going to be a triple header of games, starting with the Chargers-Patriots game. That's going to be on NFL Network. So, yeah, I think that's going to be fun. Drake May versus Herbert. That is going to be a lot of fun. But yeah. And SMU's quarterback throws a first down here, but it looked like he was almost going to throw a pick. But yeah, the two pick sixes freaking killed SMU. Even if they come back and make this game competitive, those pick sixes are going to be why they lost. And SMU's QB just gets gang sacked by Penn State. And honestly, just play Preston Stone at this point. You have nothing to lose. You have 2 good QBs. Your current starter didn't even begin the year as a starter. Preston Stone did. At this point, you put in Preston Stone and you find out what you have. And Abdul Carter missed the sack. That's the other thing. Penn State gang sacked him, but Abdul Carter had the first crack at the sack and he missed the tackle on the sack attempt. So that's the missed tackles continue to be a lingering issue with Carter. If you love Carter, I can understand why you'd pick him in the first round, but I'm a little bit scared if I'm picking him in the top 5. I'm a little bit scared about what the final result is going to be. But yeah, we're going to sign off on Restream. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see.